change this up over here. And also, just wanted to say shalom to everybody that I have on YouTube as well, on the YouTube Live. Recording this for people to be able to go back and review for their own pleasure or for their own studies. But again, we're talking about Yom ThaRUaH, and we're going to study Jeremiah 7 through 11. Right? Why not? We'll take a walk through the scriptures instead of trying to teach a bunch of doctrines. Right? So YeRaMYaHU, as I would call him, YeRaMYaHU, was definitely, some would call him, you know, he was definitely had a lot to say. He didn't hold back. The scriptures weren't limited when it came to YeRaMYaHU letting us know what was going to be happening. It really was just a constant call back to righteousness, a constant call back to what we should be doing, a constant call back to salvation, remembrance. YeRaMYaHU was somebody who didn't hold back. And if we just go, let me see over here with the word who when we want to see what the prophet was, right? Who was this? Who was YeRaMYaHU, right? What does his name mean? Because if you see the root there in the name is YeRaMY, right? YeRaMY comes from the word, it's rooted in the word room or ram. And the word room or ram means elevated or high, like Rama or Ruma, you know. And so you know, he is high, the most high of Yahuwah, right? So when you look at the name YeRaMYaHU, it means like Yah will rise, or Yah is risen, or Yah is elevated, right? Elevation of Yahuwah, YeRaMYaHU, right? Elevation of Yahuwah, the rising of Yahuwah. So understanding what the prophets' names were is really important too, because it gives you context to be understand what you're reading about. Because the names were the natures of the people that we were studying under, but there's also what they would name people of the times. If your name was based upon what was happening, or what you were to do or supposed to fulfill, or prophecies. It wasn't just somebody wasn't just given some random name. And if so, that there was various names that they had given by sometimes the father, the mother, the family members. They would have particular names that they called the children. That's why you had surnames and different things like that. Just like we do today, we have, you know, nicknames and whatnot. It's no different, you know, as it was there. But you know, YeRaMYaHU is like I said, has the prefix of the Yeh, you know, or YeRaMY, but which is he will rise, right? Or Yah will rise, because we know what we're talking about. Yahuwah, YeRaMYaHU, right? So we know who's rising. And there was more than just one prophet. He was the prophet, but there was like 9 different Yisraelis, people named YeRaMYaHU. He was just one of the prophets that we see here. But again, just want to say shalom aleichem to everybody, especially Yesharal. We give all praises to Yahuwah the Father, Bashem Yahusha ATh MaShYKh, bin ATh QaDUSh RUaKh, RUaKh Yahuwah, the set apart spirit of Yahuwah. Again, we're nobody, not trying to be somebody, just up the one body. And, you know, all we want to do is share what we have. We're not trying to convince you. You can't be convinced. You have to make the choice to decide to believe what you want to believe and choose to do what you want to do. All anyone can do is just try to share what they got, and that's what we're here. And though when people are sharing what they have to so-called, you know, sugarcoat things doesn't benefit anybody. But then again, trying to break people down and condemn them doesn't benefit anyone as well. So the whole point is to edify. Edification, edification, edification should be what it's all about. So that's where we should be at when it comes to different things, right? We should be about edification, and building those up. And how do you build, right? Because it talks about, you know, we have to grow or build ourselves up and grow in the stature of the fullness of Mashiach. And that's what our ministry, Saving Other Souls Outreach, SOS Outreach, is about, is edifying others with what we have. So hopefully we can be a blessing to you. A lot of our teachings are based upon our words that we utilize and we speak are based upon true transliterated Hebrew. What that means is that we give every Hebrew word letter has an actual sound, and which will make sense. Why would a letter not have a sound when this is a spoken word? Because then you ultimately would have to only depend on the written word if you had to see it, and then but you can't hear it, and which again makes no sense at all. And that's confusion, and that's Babel, and that's Babylon, where they want to confuse you. They want to silence. Don't use the name. Don't say the name. Don't pronounce the letters. This constant covering up and suppression and oppression of the word and the Hebrew letters, to the point where it was almost a dead language that was resurrected, as YeRaMYaHU means, to be resurrected and brought forth. I don't know how much you guys study about the histories of when all the times that Jerusalem and the temple in the area was conquered and destroyed, and how they would destroy all the writings and all the scrolls. So there's stories about when Azari came back, and when he was coming back and they had to put us all together, that all the scrolls were burned and in pieces, and that the Ruach, the ATh QaDUSh RUaKh, came and brought the words back together and put the scrolls back together to where it led, and the Spirit was upon Azari to be able to rewrite and write all these words down word for word. So it's not just about the written word on paper. It's about that word being on your heart. So if Ezra wasn't circumcised in his heart and in his ears, he wouldn't have been able to receive nor hear the word that Yahuwah was given to him through the Spirit. Because look how powerful Ezra was, man. He was bringing a whole nation back out of Babylon and was being allowed to do it. Yeah, man, it's powerful. But YeRaMYaHU, there's a lot of good books out there, but sometimes you get books that will show you. It's a little book I have, man, for years. It's these little small ones. It's like 30-year-old book, right? Let me see when it was written. This book was written in 1973. So let's just see, 1973. Just saying, because a lot of new stuff is so diluted. But anyway, this is a little pocket book that I had here, and the great thing I like about it is that it has breakdowns on when all the different prophets were together. It's really just everything. But the best part I liked about it was the prophets, when they lay down, so you can see what kings were there at the same times that the prophets were there. You can see who wasn't there at the time, because sometimes we get our timelines mixed up. For example, something like this, right? We get our timelines mixed up to where we're not clear on what kings were ruling, what prophet was around, who was around, who wasn't around, who was preaching against the kings, who wasn't. Because remember, until it was the kings first. You had the prophet through Shemuel, and then you had the kings, and then you had the judges, the prophets, then the kings, and then it was the prophets again with the kings and the judge, and then really they self-proclaimed judges, so to speak. But I know I have one in here. I want to show a better one, just the prophets. Yep, bam. This is a good spot. This is one I've used a lot, so you can see and get context about who was at that same timeline, because they weren't just by themselves. Their prophets were speaking at the same time, and so I'm trying to give you a context of where, because some of them were different kingdoms, right? Some of them were Yisrael, some of them were in the kingdom of Yehuda. Yisrael just ended up going into like the other empires, but the kingdom of Yehuda, you had different prophets that were within it. For instance, like with YeRaMYaHU, you had Habakkuk, Zephaniah at that time, but then over so in the other empires about that time, when you had YeRaMYaHU, right? You have Daniel over in over in Babylon, preaching and teaching and getting at it. It's just so many different prophets that to put them in context of where they were, right? That's what I'm getting at. Some people just read the word and they don't even have no context of nothing. They just read the word and like, all right, I know something. I can teach somebody something, where it's really teach yourself. That's what I focused on most of my life as a born again believer. I focused on not trying to teach others, but teach myself. Is check myself, because I was horrible. I was the chief sinner, sinners of sinners, and I mean for a long time, to the point like I couldn't teach. There's no way I could teach based on how I was living my life. Maybe I had the knowledge in my head, but my life wasn't manifesting what I had or what I should have been doing. And so when I really got it grafted, and I feel like I started really getting my heart circumcised, then I was really able to put that word that I had on my heart, and it became more real to me. And then instead, because I wasn't looking at others no more, I was truly looking at just myself and making sure I had it right. And once I did that, then it automatically put me in positions where I had to teach her. You know, in scenarios like, all right, well, I guess I need to teach them because they're asking for it, right? And then I would. And it was just crazy situations where, you know, I'd be working and it turned into a slight Bible study. I'm like, hey, man, you sure y'all want to do this? Like, you know, and we had time because I taught them what they needed to teach, you know. But, yeah, it happened. I mean, I'd probably say 5 or 6 jobs that happened. And I wasn't offering. They were requesting. And, you know, so when that happens, you know, then I got to the point like, all right. Maybe y'all's put me in the position to teach, because a lot of times we try to put our own self in the position as a teacher, a pastor, evangelist, or a prophet, right? And y'all's the one that's going to do it. And you can't make yourself. A lot of people self-proclaim pastors, prophets, evangelists, teachers, preachers, and whatnot. When you can do that, you may feel the calling, but there's a time and a season that y'all's going to use you, and you can't. And that's the thing is you can't pick up this plow, first of all, and try to put it down when you want, because y'all's going to choose on that. Otherwise, you got to deal with what you're reaping and sowing there. But, you know, it's a stature, and that's a growth. So you're not going to start out, and the reason why a lot of young people can't technically be a pastor, right? You haven't experienced life to be able to give people empirical knowledge of experience that you can say, hey, look, there's no true empathy that you can offer that person because you haven't experienced anything in life to be able to say, hey, I too also have gone through something of this life, you know? So that's what I'm trying to get at, is that there's a growing up, and you can grow up until that stature and to be able to teach. But, you know, there's a lot of self-proclamation going on. And that's kind of what we're getting at. So we're gonna get into YeRaMYaHU. We got 10 people here, and when I used to go and fellowship with my Yahudim brothers of the European descent, we would have to have 10 people for Monica, right? Because you know you need to have to be able to offer up prayer. So it looks like we got 10. We don't fall short of that. So let's roll. Yep. Ezra did. Ezra brought back understanding after the captivity. Yeah, he did a lot, dude. You don't even know. You don't want to know how hardcore Ezra was, to the point where he said, "Put away your pagan wives and children, and you should be giving your daughters to each other's sons to marry amongst yourselves." And stop marrying in these pagan women, because they're going to have you do pagan holidays and serve pagan deities. And it happens today. Like, right? I'm raising up my children to the point where we talk about it like, hey, you don't want to marry a pagan. You don't want to marry someone that's going to have you doing all this other stuff. We talk about this, right? You know, I'm not letting them decide what they want to come when they get older. Okay, that's their choice. But I'm raising them up in the way that they should go. Whether they choose to go that way or not, that's on them. But I'm still going to say, hey, you need that. I need my dowry from you as my daughter. How dare you think you're going to go give yourself away when I took all my time, money, life, effort, energy, everything to raise you, and then you're just gonna go off and Johnny gonna come up in here and try to take you like he's nothing. No, man. Get back, James. Get back, Johnny. Get back, ThaRUaH. I don't care who you are. I don't care about none of that. You better come with some courtship ready. You better be ready to fill out an application to date my daughter or court her, which is at least be a year before y'all can say. And there ain't gonna be no sex during that time, no kissing, none of that. And if you go on dates, yup, gotta have a chaperone. Sure do, cause we know how things go. With courtship, it's a relationship that's open to everybody. There's no deep in the dark in the corner back in the booth with Mrs. Jones type of relationship going on. Everybody's aware. So something happened. You did something to her, like if something happened to the girl. We know something bad happened. We know something bad because like everybody knew that there wasn't nothing like that supposed to be going on, right? So that's an open relationship that everybody knows about. Waiting. Hey, I hope they make it. Hey, they're a good match. Hey, you know, let's watch them, you know, build their relationship without sex as a courtship, so that when they do come together, that's a whole nother experience. Two bad people giving it away, giving the gift away. We ain't raising kids to be virgins no more. Because we out, you know why? Because most of the parents out acting like whores and whoremongers and ain't sitting there in the house and being an example to the kids. Man, we all fight with our spouses or have arguments and whatnot. The power is to stick it out and stay and show your kids, hey, look, we ain't no fast food society. We ain't no fast food family. We sticking this out. This ain't, you know. Look, YaHUaH, how many times he get mad at YesHaRAL? I'm ill mad and come cutting you off. I'm sending you, but you know what? I really love you. I heard you. Oh, I heard you saying you repented and you're sorry. And I couldn't ignore it. Oh, I'll forgive you. Come here. That's how YaHUaH has always been. Why wouldn't he? He wants to love us. We just keep forgetting our way back to him because he said, hey, to be able to come back to me, this is your path. This is the way. This is the truth. And this is the life. No man cometh unto me but by the Mashiach, which is the word of Yahweh. So follow the pattern and you'll make it back to me, and I look forward to seeing you. That's what the Father's saying. He said, because if you come up to me the wrong way, I'm going to have to hit you like Nadab in the bayou, and you're done. Don't come up me like that. Come up the way I said come to me. Right? He's a true king. He's a true ruler. How could he not be? And then we think we're just going to make up our own ways and rules and laws, and it's really crazy, y'all. Man, I appreciate you, YaHUaH, as you see you J-Rob on here now too, but I get it. But let's get into YeRaMYaHU. See, the rising, your Yah will rise, Yahuwah will rise up, right? YeRaMYaHU. ThaRUaH, it's ThaRUaH. Let me see. Don't judge me. I'm gonna try to blast this Trump. I've been practicing. I've been getting better, but it's definitely an art in to be able to. It's practice to be able to blow the shofar. Sometimes, like I said, it comes out like blasting, like wow, that was amazing, and you can feel heartfelt, and you hear Yah. But sometimes it comes out a lot of air. But you know what? Yah hears you for your effort. Yah hears you for your effort. So you can't bring that strange fire to y'all. Got to come up to him the way and based on the fire that he has and the way he says to do it. Yeah. So here we go. So I don't want y'all seeing my cheeks and all that. So I'm gonna step over here and hit it though real quick. Let me see how we can get this. Baruch atah Yahuwah v'Hashem Yehosha. Woo! Man, praise Yahuwah. Yeah, so it's the feast of Yom ThaRUaH. She'd be shouting and blasting of the shofar, and doing that, you know. So it came out better than it sometimes does. Yeah, that's like me and my family. We're all blowing it out in the backyard, and my son got on and was like, boom. I was like, what? All right. You know, actually, I remember he taught me because I was all trying these different ways, and I seen him do it. He just started trying to blow through it. I was like, all right, let me try it simple, because I was trying too hard. And I was like, let me try it his way. It came out like immaculate. I was like, all right. Sometimes you got to look at how the babes and sucklings are doing it, right? Like, all right. We get too prideful in our heads. Praise Yahuwah. We had this coffee machine, and my lady, and we had this fluffer with the cream on next to it. So my wife, Danielle, she has it next to it. So I seen her one day. She was in her work. She put half and half, and then squirted some syrup in there, the creamer syrup. But we don't use creamer no more from the store because it has like deadly things in it. But anyway, and then she fluffed it up on the side, and I was like, I just watched the cream just rise, and I watched her pour it in her coffee and that. And I was like, wow. And I went and tasted it. It was like the sweetest cream ever. I was like, man, it's better than whipped cream. So I learned how to make whipped cream, so to speak, from my lady using half and half and a little syrup. And I was like, I don't use it. I use it that way. I don't just pour the cream in half and half and then add the syrup. I do it all together and pour it in as one. It's a whole nother taste to your coffee. And it makes it steps it up, upper class. It rises you up a little bit in the coffee game. You're right. That's a really good example there, YaHUaH, is you have to pucker your lips up and then almost relax at the same time while keeping them puckered, right? I get it. Shalom. Amen. That's exactly. All right, y'all. So we're going to get into YeRaMYaHU. We're going to go through 7 through 10, 11. 7, 11. And we're going to go through that. Chapter 7 through 11. So let's go. I hope my wife is here listening. I know she's got a lot going on. She doesn't seem to be. So, yes, she is. There she is. All right. So, praise Yahuwah. I just want to make sure she's listening, with all that she's doing and whatnot. Because, again, I do this to fellowship, with us, but then with you guys too. So, here we go. Y'all, let me just, pray Yahuwah. In Bashem Yahusha et MaShYKh ATh QaDUSh RUaKh bin Yahuwah, lead and guide us and keep us in your way. Let us not lean to our own understanding. Let us be directed in your word. Be a light unto our path and a lamp unto our feet. You know what I'm saying? And order your steps, our steps in your word, y'all. And that we continue and not try to make up our own doctrines, but hear what the word is saying and not try to make excuses for our lives, but to actually adjust our lives to your word and not try to adjust the word to our lives, so that we don't walk in error, thinking that we're moving forward and closer to you, yet we're actually walking in a wide path of destruction and not the straight and narrow, y'all. So lead and guide us and let us know the error of our ways so that we can repent, to lead and guide us to your true righteousness. In all things, y'all, let the Ruach work in us. In your name, Bashem Yahushai et MaShYKh. Amen. All right, so let's go. I almost forgot I was recording. I was praying. I almost forgot I was like in this. So, wow. All right. Check this out. And see this in another way. The word, Jeremiah 7, the word that came to YeRaMYaHU from Yahuwah. So the what? So think about this. The Mashiach, Yahusha, that came to YeRaMYaHU from Yahuwah, saying. Because who's the word? Come on now, y'all. Can't forget that's the whole blessing of what we have the understanding of. Who's the word? Right? Yeah. In Florida, let's just do that, man. Amen. We do got the Shira, the storm coming through there. And it's Yom ThaRUaH. So, I mean, if something is going to happen, I mean, there's these days that it can happen. It's definitely not, obtruse. But either way, we want to make sure that, we do pray for people that they have wisdom and knowledge to move as Yah leads and guides them in these paths of destructions and weather. and also to understand that, that why do we, should we continue to abide in a storm that we know is continuously coming, type of setting, things like of that nature as well. So with that said, I pray for you to get everybody and the brothers and sisters down in anywhere that's affected by this current storm that's going on right now. But with all things said, let Yahuwah's will be done. B'Shem Yahusha ATh MaShYKh. Amen. So here we go. YeRaMYaHU 7. So the word, or the Mashiach that came through YeRaMYaHU from Yahuwah, saying, I mean, is there any, are we claiming anything else is the word? We believe that the Mashiach, Yahusha, is the word of Yahuwah. Is the word. The ATh QaDUSh RUaKh Yahuwah is the breath. We don't have to make it up. It's ThaRUaH Yahuwah and the RUaKh Yahuwah. The word of Yahuwah and the breath of Yahuwah. The spirit. RUaKh is wind, spirit, breath. Same thing. And then the Dabarim, the word, Dabari, of Yahuwah is who? The Mashiach. It's all Yahuwah. Right? Right? But the Father's always remaining. As Yahuwah, he's remaining. Right? And his word goes forth and it doesn't return to him void. There's no Trinity. So just so we're clear, we're speaking in reality. Why can't we just speak in reality? The word, the Dabari, that came to YeRaMYaHU from Yahuwah, saying, stand in the gate of Yahuwah's house and proclaim there this word and say, hear the word of Yahuwah. Hear the Mashiach of Yahuwah, all you Yahuwah of Yehuda that enter in at these gates to worship Yahuwah. We're in YeRaMYaHU 7, verse 3. Thus says Yahuwah Zabeh, the Elowahi Yasharel, amend your ways and your doings, and I will cause you to dwell in this place. Amend your ways and your doings. It's a constant amending process. You're like, oh, hey, I'm doing this wrong. I should change that. That's what an amendment is. You're amending it. Man, we have this thing called we have amendments, right? The Bill of Rights are amendments, right? They're called the First Amendment, Second Amendment, 10th Amendment, right? They're amendments. They're changes to the original Constitution because the original Constitution was just a contract of control. And they were like, well, we got to have this amendment here on top of that to control that control, right? To give the people liberty of that control. So that's what an amendment is. It's always been there. It's placed. The law has always been there, right? The governmental law and the Torah has always been there. There's always also within that same law been these amendments to bring life, to keep the law in check. The Mashiach's, he's the balance, man. And so that's what we have here. It's you have to understand. Remember, he's life, and he came to conquer death, and he came and he took the keys of death. So man, he's everything now. We just have to have that faith because we're still going through these times until the end. Okay, let's keep going. Amend your ways and your doings, and I will cause you to dwell in this place. Where? Where's the place? At the gate of Yahuwah's house. Well, guess what? Yahuwah's house, this is the gate. To dwell right here. Enter his gates with thanksgiving in your hearts. Enter his courts with praise. I have a song I sing, that I sung when I was younger, but it makes me cry, so I'm not going to sing it. But I sing it because I feel it spiritually when I'm walking in here, which just talks about going through past the outer courtyard, through his holy place, into the holiest of holies. Man, I can't even say it almost because it's like you feel that presence when you're walking through because that's your spiritual walk. That's the only way to approach Yahuwah. And it's really that simple when we just act like we don't see this. What other pattern did Yahuwah give us to follow but this pattern of the tabernacle? Temple was the same way, just bigger. Picture of the Father, picture of the Son. So Jeremiah 7:4 says, trust you not in lying words, saying, the temple of Yahuwah, the temple of Yahuwah, the temple of Yahuwah are these. said it 3 times. Temple of Yahuwah. The temple of Yahuwah. The temple of Yahuwah. Say, trust not in lying words, saying the temple of Yahuwah, the temple of Yahuwah, the temple of Yahuwah are these. For if you thoroughly amend your ways and your doings, if you thoroughly execute judgment between a man and his neighbor, if you oppress not the gur, the stranger, or the fatherless, the leabib, and the widow. The fatherless is who? Orphans. The orphans and the widows, and shed not innocent blood in this place. Neither walk after other Elohim to your hurt. Then will I cause you to dwell in this place. So there's conditions. Then will I cause you to dwell in this place. 7:7, Jeremiah. In the land that I gave to your fathers forever and ever. Olam, olam. La'olam, olam. Behold, you trust in lying words that cannot profit. Will you steal, murder, commit adultery, and swear falsely, and burn incense unto Baalim, and walk after other Elohim who you know not, and come and then stand before me in this house, which is called by my name, and say, we are delivered to do all these abominations? These are your New Testament believers that come and try to say that we don't have to keep all these things, right? That give you lying words that cannot profit you. You're already saved, so then they're giving you BS words that can't help you because you're already saved. Those words help those that aren't saved to become saved. Once they're saved, then you're moving past that. Okay, now I'm saved. Faith, got it. We got that. Let's grow. People don't, scripture's going to say this. It says, and then it says, but they, because it's like, will you steal? Because people say you're not under the commandments. Okay, will you steal? This is YeRaMYaHU asking this, right? Okay, can you murder? Can you commit adultery? Can you swear, lie? Can you burn incense unto Baalim now? And walk after other Elohim who you know not? You can do all these things right now because you're not under the law? And come and then stand before me in my house, which is called to my name, and say, we are delivered to do all these abominations? What did he say? And come to stand before me in this house, the Mashiach, Yahushua, which is called by my name, Yehouhoushai, and say, we are delivered to do all these abominations. You're saying through YaHUaHUshiI, you can commit all these abominations which are diametrically opposing against the what Yahuwah says. And what YeRaMYaHU is saying, he's saying the same thing that most of us preachers and teachers are saying to believers that think you don't have to keep no laws. We're saying the same thing that they're saying here. Like what? Where does that ever happen? It says, but you want to do all that and then come stand before my house and say we are delivered to do all these things. We can do all. We don't have to keep those laws. We can do all those abominations and eat abominable foods that Mashiach said, that Yahuwah said, hey, don't eat those, nor what? Touch their dead carcasses. He didn't just say you couldn't eat them, but you shouldn't even be touching their dead carcasses. It's an abomination to certain things. Not when they're alive. Hey, look, all animals serve a purpose in life. Not all animals are meant for eating. Just like not all plants are meant for eating. It's just not all fish in the seas are meant for eating. I mean, it's just not, yeah. You have to have some sense. Instead of we always want to have absolutes, right? That's what happens is people are like, all right, I got to put everything that I believe in this box and it's got to fit, and everything outside of the box has got to be a lie. Stop boxing yourself in. Stop boxing others in. You know, allow Yah to increase in you daily. The scriptures say in 7:11, because we're going through chapter 7 through 11 in YeRaMYaHU. So we're at YeRaMYaHU 7:11. It says, is this house, which is called by my name, which is Yahuwah, become a den of robbers in your eyes? Behold, even I, Yahuwah, have seen it, says Yahuwah. But go you now unto my place which was in Shiloh, where I set my name at the first. How do you know about this? Because remember when they had the tabernacle and the Ark of the Covenant and were moving it around? It was first in Shiloh, where I set my name at the first. So you got to go back and read the story of literally just read the travelings of the Ark. Where did the Ark go? It went through the Philistines. It went through everybody. It was like, hey, get that thing out of here, man. That thing is killing us. Nobody wanted it to touch it. They were scared of it. Had the presence of Yahuwah, the power of them, destruction of life. Hey, wasn't playing. They're lucky it was contained like that. Because if it was loosed, man. It says, where I set my name at the first, and see what I did to it for the wickedness of my people, Yesharel. YeRaMYaHU 7:13. And now, this word is a living word, right? This is talking to you right now, talking to me right now. And now, because you have done all these works, says Yahuwah, and I spoke unto you, rising up early and speaking, but you heard not. And I called you, but you answered not. You know why? He's calling Yesharel, and you don't think you're Yesharel. You let somebody else tell you if you're a house of Yesharel or not. Well, I'm agree with the brothers. If you don't think you're the house of Yesharel, you're not Yesharel. If you believe you're of the house of Yesharel, and that some people, that's Israel, but that's a false, bad name to call it. It's Yesharel, righteous, upright power. Israel is a bad translation, and also is a way for them to say Isis, Ra, and El in one word, which were the Canaanite deities. So they want to change his name and nature. It was Yesharel, not Israel. Stop saying, I mean, do what you choose. I would suggest not to say it, right? That's how I'll present that. But I wouldn't say Israel. I would say Yesharel. Why would, I don't, yeah, anyway. But you answered not, right? I called you. You heard not. I called you, but you answered not. Therefore, while I do unto this house, which is called by my name, wherein you trust, and unto the place which I gave to you and to your fathers, as I have done to Shiloh. And I will cast you out of my sight, as I have cast out all your Echi, even the whole seed of Ephraim. Therefore, pray not you for this people, neither lift up cry nor prayer for them, neither make intercession to me, for I will not hear you. Therefore pray not you for this people, neither lift up cry nor prayer for them, neither make intercession to me, for I will not hear you. See you not what they do in the cities of Yehuda, in the streets of Jerusalem? He's like, you trying to pray for them, but do you see what they're doing? You know what I'm saying? Therefore, pray not for this people. Man, it says it right there. The children gather wood, and the fathers kindle the fire, and the women knead their dough to make cakes to Lilith, the queen of heaven, Eshtaruth. This is where they get why they make those cakes, hot cross buns and all that stuff. And make cakes to the queen of the Malakut of Shemim, and to pour out drink offerings unto other Elohim, that they may provoke me to anger. Do they provoke me to anger? Says Yahuwah. Do they not provoke themselves to the confusion of their own faces? It's like, you think, oh, you trying to provoke me to anger? You're provoking your own self to the confusion of your own faces. Believing in the flesh. Think that give you some type of right. Man, ain't no people based on the flesh. Based on your heart. Your mind. That's the people of Abraham, the people of Yahuwah, the seed of Abraham, the people of Yahuwah. You have to have your heart circumcised and your ears circumcised. Has nothing to do with your flesh or the complexion of your skin. From lighter shade to darker shade of man, Yah came for all. We're going to read about that. We're going to read. Right? It says, do they provoke me to anger? Says Yahuwah. Do they not provoke themselves to the confusion of their own faces? Therefore, says Yahuwah, behold, my anger and my fury shall be poured out upon this place, upon man, and upon beast, and upon the trees of the field, and upon the fruit of the ground, and it shall burn, and shall not be quenched. Thus says Yahuwah Zabeh Elowahi Yasharel, put your burnt offerings unto your sacrifices, and eat flesh. For I spake not unto your fathers, nor commanded them in the days that I brought them out of the land of Matzarim, concerning burnt offerings and sacrifices. But this thing commanded I them, saying, obey my voice. Obey my voice. The only reason we have to offer up sacrifices is because of sins. Then you have peace offerings, whole burnt offerings, free will offerings. All this blood is a picture, is a covering, which is a picture of the Mashiach. Really, think about all the blood that's been offered. It's still isn't being used up. Here we go. This thing I commanded I them, saying, obey my voice, and I will be your Eloah, and you shall be my people. Conditions. Yahuwah is always conditional. It's always conditional. It's a promise and performance. Hey, if I'll do this, this, and this, if you do this, this, and this. And then we got a covenant. We got an agreement. See, the problem you think is that you ain't got to do nothing. Well, I'm going to say this. There's nothing you can do to save yourselves except believe. Because the redemption was done by what the Mashiach did for. He did a work for us. So the only thing you can do to get into that is believe. Because you can't do no work for that. But then once you're in that faith, then you need to work out your salvation and grow in the stature of the fullness of Mashiach. From a baby to a child, to a grown person, to a bride, to a wife, to a mother. You get what I'm saying? It's a process. It's a process. He says, saying, obey my voice and I will be your Eloah, and you shall be my people, and walk you in all the ways that I have commanded you, that it may be well unto you. But they hearken not. Just like today, now people are like, well, we don't got to keep the commandments, because they hearken not. Nor incline their ear, because they can't hear the word of Yahuwah, but walked in the counsels and in the imaginations of their evil heart, because it's not circumcised, and went backwards, not forwards. So people think when they get Mashiach, right, and they get born again, then they start falling backwards. Like, why the hell did you even get saved again? Why did you even get saved? If you're just going to start going backwards and treading backwards, well, I don't have to keep none of that. And not moving forward. And then they want to flip it. Like, they want to flip it on you. Like, you're keeping the commandments. Thank you. Thank you for recognizing that. Appreciate that. You hear me? I love it when they tell me that. I love it. Because I'm not under the law. I'm not under the law. Man, thank y'all for his grace and his mercy. You know, I'm under grace. I'm under the law of liberty and life after the law of my mind, because I deal with it in the spirit. I lived after the spirit, so that I don't have to have it manifest in the flesh and then live and be under the law after the law of my members in the flesh. So if you don't deal with it in the spirit in your mind, Y'all's like, oh, well, you're going to deal with it one way or another. And if it come out in the flesh, then you lost, but still deal with it in the spirit. You still always got to deal with it in the spirit, whether it comes in the flesh or he gives you the opportunity to deal with it in the mind. Because here, check this out. What you do in secret, y'all expose you openly. So if you deal what you do in secret with Yahuwah, deal with that and repent and deal with it and act like he don't see it and see, you see, I not see that, you see it, we see that, I repent. Or you can move on and say, I don't see that, and y'all puts it right in your face, in your flesh, and you're like, oh, okay, well, I see that. Some people are so prideful where they act like they still don't see it. And that's where you start to decline and go backwards. Y'all just listen, I'm going to bust you up. And you really just whooping yourself because you made a covenant with Yahuwah to do certain things, and then now you ain't doing them, and you're going backwards, back-treading on your word instead of moving forward and closer and moving nigh unto him so that he can move nigh unto you. It's an agreement. It's a covenant. Titus 3:9 for all y'all. For y'all, real quick. Titus 3:9. We're in YeRaMYaHU, but just to kind of to nip that stuff in the bud real quick. Titus 3:9 says that 3:8, 9, and 10. Titus 3:9, 8, 9, and 10. This is a faithful saying, and these things I will that you affirm constantly, that they which have been believed in Yahuwah might be careful to maintain good works. These things are good and profitable unto men. But avoid foolish questions, genealogies, and contentions, and strivings about the law, for they are unprofitable and vain. A man that is a heretic after the first and second admonition, reject, knowing that he that is such is subverted and sins, being condemned of himself. So that was 8 through 11. So man, I'm not going to strive with something about the law. They don't want to keep y'all's word. That's up to you. For me and my house, we going to serve Yahuwah. And how do we know how to serve Yahuwah? Through his word in the spirit. So that, right? I shouldn't have to, what did it say again? I should know that in my heart. I should know it be through my practice. I shouldn't have to constantly go back. What did it say again? I should have it in my heart so that I'm working and I'm living it. Shalom, shalom. Chan, Chan. Chan and Chesed. Chan and Chesed. Grace and mercy. Echi and Achuti. MaShYKh. Yasharel. Yahudah. And Ibarim. Echi. All right. So let's keep going. Let's keep going. Right? So we're talking about verse 24. YeRaMYaHU 7:24 says, for they hearken not nor incline their ear, but walk in their own in the counsels and in the imagination of their evil heart. The counsel of their evil heart and what? The imaginations of their evil heart. What they wanted it to be. That's what people do with Christianity is they make the word be what they want it to be. And then that's why you have thousands of denominations, because each of them have their own variation of what they want it to be. And went backwards and not forward. Since the day that your fathers came forth out of the land of Matzarim unto this day, I have sent unto you all my servants, the Nabieh, daily rising up early and sending them. Yet they hearken not unto me, nor incline their ear, but hardened their necks, and they did worse than their fathers. YeRaMYaHU 7:27. Therefore you shall speak all these words unto them. Remember, the word is the Mashiach. But they will not hearken unto you. You shall also call unto them, but they will not answer you. But you shall say unto them, this is a nation that obeys not the voice of Yahuwah Eloah, nor receives correction. Let you try to correct a Christian that believes they're under grace and that's it, and there's no laws and point. They cannot hear nothing. You say, you're on the law. You're under the law, brother. You know, there's no laws. No, they can't receive no correction. Well, if we're not under it, why do we have to receive correction if we can't be wrong? Because we can be wrong. We just have grace to get it right. We have Khan to get it right. Truth is perished. It says what? But you shall say unto them, this is a nation that obeys not the voice of YaHUaH, nor receives correction. Truth is perished and is cut off from their mouth. They can't speak no truth because they're trying to create all these doctrines and theologies and just speak what the word says. I'm just reading what YeRaMYaHU says. Cut off your hair, O Jerusalem, and cast it away, and take up lamentation on high places. First of all, we knew they had long hair. So cut off your hair, right? So having hair is a natural thing. But when you would do a vow of a natsar, right? You would share. I did, man. I went through some stuff and I just cut it off and just grew it all out. I started when I was growing, I had my pills, and I was like, you know what? I'm doing this because man created this. You know, having just my pales through my Hasidic brothers and whatnot. And then I was like, I'm growing it all. Y'all didn't say, he said, don't cut the temples of you. He said, don't be parting up your beard and none of that, making it look pretty like a, you know, you ain't supposed to be like a woman, prettying yourself up, your hair, you know what I'm saying? And then people try to bring up the thing in Paul. He says, I speak this by permission, but my by commandment. He said, because we have no such tradition like this. He said he was speaking to the Romans because they would always cut their hair. He was telling them, don't try to be no different right now. Just do you, right? Just be you, right? Don't try to be looking like no woman. That was the main thing. No, Hebrew men, even though we would have hair, right? We ain't trying to look pretty like a woman. It's the whole point of men having a beard. You know? Women can't have beards. Well, most women can't have beards. You know? You know, so yeah, so that's all I'm trying to say is that you have that choice based on your relationship and time with Yah. Because sometimes they would cut it all off and grow it back. Women, for instance, that would convert over to the house of Yeshua or would become born again to Yahuwah. In tradition, when a pagan woman came over, she would shave all her head. They would shave her head off. And it was her showing a vow that she was giving herself over to the Most High Yahuwah Aliun. And so and then she would grow it anew, a new sprout, a new tree. Even I mean, my lady gets me with this one. She's like, even every tree needs to be pared back for it to grow better. And I'm like, because I don't like cutting my hair. I'm like, oh my goodness. And she wants to cut my son's hair. He's never had a scissors touch his hair, right? And it's just, man, and you know, I get why, but I'm like, well, just wait. Because my son, he has this oath on him, and I'm letting him know. I mean, well, he'll get to a point where he can choose that, and then he can get there and whatnot. But, you know, once you do it, you can't take it back, right? Once you cut that, put that scissors to it, so it's like like Samson, you know, that type of vow I'm trying to provide to my son, and I always have 7 locks on his head. You know, in the back of his head, and you can do whatever else, but the 7 locks got to remain. So that's kind of where we at with that in that regard. So YeRaMYaHU, we're reading Jeremiah 7 through 11. We're here, verse 29. It says, cut off your hair, O Jerusalem, and cast it away, and take up lamentation on high places. For Yahuwah has rejected and forsaken the generation of his wrath. For the children of Yehuda have done evil in my sight, says Yahuwah. They have set their abominations in the house which is called by my name to pollute it. Look, any idol of any sort is an idol. And to worship, to have it, to set it up, to expose it is an idol. I use this. This is Yah set this up. This is Yah's pattern. That's why I cut out the face of a man so we don't try to put characteristics on him. Who cares about he could be dark or whatever? I don't care about the complexion either. I really don't. It doesn't matter to me. If we could make a version of this of somebody that's gray, I don't care. Dark, I don't care. See, all that doesn't matter. It's just it's a mindset. It's a picture. That's what Yah gave us, a man on a cross. Yah gave us the tabernacle laid out in the form of a cross. Not only was the tabernacle itself and the furniture laid out in the form of a cross, the pattern of the people that were camped out was laid out in a form of a cross. It's a picture of the stature of truth. It's not something to be worshipped. It's something Yah gave us. But then we want to say, oh, it's an idol. If you make it an idol, it is. Just if you start worshiping cherubims. He had cherubims on the curtains in the tabernacle in the temple. He had cherubims on top of the mercy seat. You know what I'm saying? Facing each other. Cherubim. So, you know what I'm saying? We have to understand why. Because we're trying to return back to the throne. Back to him. And it's a picture of his throne room. Because we just think, we don't know why or what. Everything has in context. You should always ask, well, why? What? Why is that for? Why is that like that? And that just takes you on a great journey. The menorah can be an idol as well. I agree with that. Everything can be an idol. The table of showbread, everything in there can be an idol. You're up. I got the menorah right there. Sure do. There's one I burn and one I keep just for that. Sure do. But you know what? It's the symbol of Yeshua. The true symbol of the house of Yeshua is the menorah. Burning bright, burning light, 7 lights. And you go look in Revelations. It talks about the menorah, 7 menorahs, representing the 7 churches. And he's standing in the midst of the 7 menorahs. So have some understanding on the menorah. It's not the Mogan Dude or the Mogan Shalama or the Star of David or the Seal of Solomon. That's not. But yet people even make that evil when it's just a star. It's just because how do I draw a star? What is my accepted way to be able to draw a star, right? So you get that. Everything is symbol. Yah is, all symbols belong to him. The way man uses them is perverted and corrupted. But just understanding symbols and patterns and truths, we'll have a study on that. We go over triangles, squares, circles, how that matches up in the word, lines. Even with everything with like unseen wireless communication, is everything is what? Ones or zeros, or another way to say that is lines and circles, continuous and controlled, right? The continuous is 0, which technically comes before the 1, right? 0 then 1, and then so we have the continuous and then the limited, the controlled. The 1 is controlled. The 0, the circle there's no end. But anyway. Just getting into that. So let me get back into the scriptures. It says here in verse 30, YeRaMYaHU 7:30 says, "For the children of Yahuwah have done evil in my sight, says Yahuwah. They have set their abominations in that house which is called by my name to pollute it. They have built the high places of ThaRUaH, which is in the valley of the son of Hanan." Boy, he's giving you some mysteries right here. "To burn their sons and their daughters in the fire, which I commanded them not. Neither came it into my heart." He's like, I never even thought of such things for you to go burn it in these fires to them, right? And then you understand who Hanan is and the valley of Hanan, and This is a picture of the lake. The ThaRUaH is a picture of the lake of fire. I talk about it in my book because there's different pits and there's different levels. There's Bor, Shaka, Theon, Tahu, Bahu. There's a lot of Sheol. You got different areas. You got the ThaRUaH, Hanan. This is a mystery right here. When you understand, this is where things are going to be going down in the end. So let's keep going. It just gets you thinking about what's going to really go down, how powerful and how awesome and terrible this is going to be. So in YeRaMYaHU 7:32 it says, "Therefore behold, the day comes, says Yahuwah, that it shall no more be called ThaRUaH, nor the valley of the son of Hanam, but the valley of slaughter. For they shall bury in ThaRUaH till there be no place." Wow. That means the dead are going to be there. In ThaRUaH, the valley of the dead. But it says it's going to be the valley of slaughter. "And the carcasses of this people shall be meat for the fowls of Shamim, for the beasts of the Arats. None shall fray them away. Then will I cause to cease from the cities of Yehuda and from the streets of Jerusalem the voice of the mirth and the voice of gladness. the voice of the bridegroom and the voice of the bride. The land shall be desolate. Who's the bridegroom? MaShYKh, the word. Who's the bride? We are his people. Those of us that believe we're not just the body, but the bride. But you have to be of the body to be the bride. You can't be the bride without being a part of the body. Yet you can be the bride outside of the body, but yet part of the body. It's crazy. But you can never be the bride without first being a part of the body. Think about Adam and Eve, or Adam and Yahuwah, right? He put them to sleep, took the rib out of the body. The body remained. Now he created the bride from the rib, and they were one, but yet they were separate, right? Because it was of this. Think about that. It's just like the word is of the Father. If that makes sense. Verse 34. Then shall I cause to cease from the cities of Yehuda and from the streets of Jerusalem the voice of mirth, the voice of gladness, the voice of the bridegroom, and the voice of the bride. For the land shall be desolate. YeRaMYaHU, chapter 8, y'all. That is through she's gone. If that makes sense. She's passed away. The person that I got, my spiritual grandmother that I learned a lot from, but who taught my spiritual father, so to speak, right? Who are both of them are passed away. And so the message that I'm carrying on is this bride's message. And what I've learned through both from my spiritual grandmother, who was all Christian, caught up 100% in Christianity, but was coming up out of the normal Christianity with understanding the holiness and the laws and the commandments was part of the statutes back in the 30s and 40s and 50s, right? And then I have my spiritual father who through, in the 60s, the 70s, the 80s, and the 90s, right? He came up, was through that, and then came out and through, the 90s and the 2000s where I was getting a part of that, right? And so, but what's happened is my spiritual teacher was coming out of Christianity altogether and started keeping the Shabbat, was eating kosher, stopped eating unclean in that sense, and then was still doing the same things, but in the aspect was realizing that, hey, what the commandment said. And then I got that from that point and seen from my generations. I can tell you this is that my spiritual grandmother, I studied enough to find out where she was getting her knowledge from. And really, if you really want to go back and feel if you want to know where 99% of almost all Christians' doctrines come from, and then they've all just spun off on their own versions, is from Clarence Larkin. Most of your teachers nowadays that teach most of what they know come up from, and they had many people before that. But you had James Strong's, right? But then you had Clarence Larkin. He did a book called Dispensational Truth, which is pretty powerful. I don't agree with everything he teaches, but he breaks down the book of Revelations. He breaks down the way he did charts and things is phenomenal. So I would say to suggest if you wanted to get books that take you back to the root of what a lot of people are teaching, then you can. A lot of things I don't agree with what he's saying because they still make a separation between the church and the house of Yisrael, and that there's this different deliverance in the end, where that's the confusion is that we're going to be grafted in. We're one house, one body, one people. But the only separation going to be is with the bride. The bride's going to be pulled apart. The bride's going to be separate, and that's the bride. And that's where this hard thing. So they have these different things. The church, well, the church is Yisrael. That's why they're grafted into the house of Yisrael, into the promise, so they can receive the blessings of Abraham. Right? That's why you have to do it through the Mashiach. So either way, I would suggest books by Clarence Larkin. Dispensational Truth was a good one. These are from before 1900s. Over 100 years old books, and go from there. So, because most of the charts you see nowadays that are presented in various forms and fashions originated with a lot of what he put out, because he was a he was able to create, engineer, and do those type of things and create charts and stuff, and that's why he brought those forth. So that's my history of the teachers that I got on that side, through my lineage, going back over 100 years from the teachers that I've received in that aspect, into where it's been the slow process of coming out of Egypt, right? And I've been encouraged by each of those to continue to grow and not stay stagnant. Don't stay in Egypt. Don't stay in where you're at. Continue to move closer to Yahuwah. Don't stay in the courtyard. Don't stay in the holy place, but continue to press on through into the holy place, holiest of holies, into Canaan's land, into the promise. You know, and that's what I've been encouraged to do. And so that's what I'm encouraged to do, and saying, come on, we're going into Canaan's land. We're going into the promise. We're going into Beulah's land. We're coming out of Egypt. We got blood, fire, and water foundation. We already have that. Let's go. We're in this wilderness. Don't let these giants stop you. Don't let any of these ites stop you. Let's go. Continue on. We need to get to the river Yarden so that we can Ibar, cross over, or Hebrew. We can need to Ibar over the river, Hebrew over the river, and come into the promise, right? And then possess the promise. So that's the message that we're talking about. So chapter 8, YeRaMYaHU. So let's stay on it. I just want to answer the question. Shalom, shalom, everybody. Jeremiah, we just read chapter 7. Now we're going into Jeremiah, YeRaMYaHU, the prophet, Nabieh, chapter 8. It says, at that time, says Yahuwah, they shall bring out the bones of the kings of Yehuda, and the bones of his princes, and the bones of the priests, and the bones of the prophets, and the bones of the inhabitants of Jerusalem out of the graves. So what do we see here? We see the kings, the royalty, right? The priests, the prophets, and the people. The royalty, kings and princes, the priests, the prophets, and the people here. These are the bones of them. And they shall spread them before the sun and the moon and all the host of heaven, whom they have loved, and whom they have served, and after whom they have walked, and whom they have sought, and whom they have worshipped. They shall not be gathered, nor be buried. They shall be for dung upon the face of the earth. And death, or muth, shall be chosen rather than life, by all the residue of them that remain of this evil family, which remain in all the places where I have driven them, says Yahuwah Zabieh. Moreover, you shall say unto them, thus says Yahuwah, shall they fall and not arise? Shall he turn away and not return? Why then is this people of Jerusalem slidden back by a perpetual backsliding? It's like they're continuously, perpetually backsliding. They hold fast deceit, being deceived of their own whims. They refuse to return how Yahuwah says to return. So a lot of people want to return to the Mashiach or to the word in their own way, in their own understanding, instead of saying, hey, Yah says, here's the pattern. The only way back is through the Mashiach. Mashiach, the word of Yahuwah in the flesh, born of a virgin by prophecy and fulfilled, provided to us the word. That's the only way back. That's the only way back. Because they refuse to return the right way. Everybody, man, there's many ways to seem right unto them, man. But that way is a way unto death. Man, look at where it's taking you. What's the end of that road? 8:6. YeRaMYaHU 8:6 says, I hearkened and heard. The word is the same, hearkened and heard. I heard and I heard. Because if you look at the first word of the part of that word, hearken, it's hear. I hearkened. I hearkened and heard, but they spake not aright. No man repented him of his wickedness. So they think it's just, oh, I deserve righteous. I deserve these rights and freedoms and whatnot. Instead of actually repenting of what they've done and why Yahuwah has done things to them personally and said, you know what? I'm a sinner saved by thank you, Yah. I repent. I repent of my own wickedness in my heart. Save me. Saying, what have I done? Everyone turned to his course as the horse rushes into the battle. Yes, the stork in the heaven knows her appointed times, and the turtle and the crane and the swallow observe the time of their coming. But my people know not the judgment of Yahuwah. How do you say we are wise, and the ThaRUaH of Yahuwah is with us? No, certainly in vain made he it. The pen of the scribes is in vain. Supposed to hear the word. They wrote it down because we're so hard-hearted and we have to read it. So when we read it and we still can't hear it, damn. Damn. If we can read the word, what it says, and then we still can't hear it, when we should hear it, we should be able to hear what the Ruach is saying. Right? The wise men are ashamed. They are dismayed and taken. They have rejected the word of Yahuwah, and what wisdom is in them. So when somebody rejects the word of Yahuwah and then tries to act like they wise, like, oh man, I get it. I got that knowledge. But then they reject the word of Yahuwah. What? Therefore will I give their wives unto others, and their fields to them that shall inherit them. Because look, if you ain't going to do it, somebody else going to do it. Somebody else going to say, I want to serve Yah. I want to keep his word. I want to keep his commandments. I want to do that. Matter of fact, I'm going to go out, and because I believe that that word of Yah has so much power on it, and if I'm drawn closer to Yah by trying to keep what he says to do, and in my heart I want to do right, because it can't just be actions. It's got to be your heart bonded with your actions. And in my heart I want to do right, and I want to show it in my actions so others can glorify your Father in heaven, and then I can create these actions. Then I'm able to bring that to Yah when he comes back to me and says, hey, I gave you all this power, I gave you this skill set to do this, this, and that. What do you got for me? Well, Yah, I got this, 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 and that to give back to you, because you gave this to me freely. Or you're going to be like, well, you know, I just kind of chilled on what I had, and I thought grace was sufficient, and I didn't think I needed to do anything. He's going to be like, what? I gave you that freely, and you just sat on it? You slept on it? You buried it and covered it? How was I going to be glorified on that? He's going to take what you got, that talent he gave you, he's going to give it to them that have. Stop just barely getting by. Shalom, shalom to you. Shalom, shalom to y'all. Thank you for joining us. Shalom to everyone. I don't mean to ignore y'all. Just trying to teach and preach here. Shalom to everyone that's joined us. Thank you for coming in. And hopefully you can be blessed by this word. Chapter 8, verse 10. Therefore will I give their wives to others, and their fields to them that shall inherit them. For everyone from the least even to the greatest is given to covetousness. From the prophet even unto the priest, everyone deals falsely. For they have healed the hurt of the daughter of my people slightly, saying, Shalom, shalom, when there is no shalom. Were they ashamed when they had committed abomination? You can eat your pork and all that stuff you want. It's not going to take me to hell. Okay, how do you know that? You just can't send nobody to hell for that. But can Yah? How hard does Yah hold the word abomination when he says something is an abomination? How serious does he hold that? When you're saying, oh, shalom, brothers, don't worry about eating that pork. Don't worry about eating unclean. Don't worry about keeping the holy days. Don't worry about keeping the Shabbat based on the scriptures. Shalom, shalom, relax. It's grace. But then, that's not grace. That's not shalom. That's not peace to me. That's contention and war in my heart based on what somebody tells me. That's an abomination based on what they're saying to me. But are they ashamed? Based on verse 12 of chapter 8 of Jeremiah? Were they ashamed when they had committed these abominations against the word of Yahuwah? No, they ain't doing it against me, but you're diametrically putting yourself against the word. No, they were not at all ashamed. Neither could they blush. They were bold. Therefore shall they fall among them that fall. In the time of their visitation, they shall be cast down, says Yahuwah. Depart from me, you that work iniquity, for I never knew you. And you really never knew me, so I could never know you. You knew a version of me that you wanted to know, but you never knew me, so how the hell could I ever know you? Because you never really knew me. Cast down. How'd you get in here with those garments on? Bind him up and cast him out. Coming up here thinking you're doing it your own way. I told you how to do it in my word, and you just didn't want to listen to my word. You wanted to make up your own crap and do it your own way. Jeremiah 8:13 says, I will surely consume them, says Yahuwah. There shall be no grapes on the vine, nor figs on the fig tree, and the leaf shall fade, and the things that I have given them shall pass away from them. Oh, you think you got something? Think that's your stature? Y'all says, I'll take it away from you. It'll pass away from you. Why do we sit still? Remember, the Mashiach is the fig tree. He is the tree. Why do we sit still? Assemble yourselves, and let us enter into the defense cities, and let us be silent there. For YaHUaH has put us to silence, and given us water of gall to drink. Wormwood, right? Water of gall to drink. Because we have sinned against Yahuwah. How do you even know if you sinned against Yahuwah? Just make it up in your head on what you think sin or sin isn't? Or you use the word of Yahuwah to say, okay, well this is what sin is. So then that's how I know what sin is. So if I just don't do that, if I don't do that, then I'm great. Because there's a curse for that. So then I'm not sinning. So cool. Just like in life, there's laws. Like, hey, if I don't lie, then maybe I might get lied to. If I'm not lying to others, then y'all's not going to lie to me. Well, if I'm constantly willfully lying to others, then is y'all going to lie to me? You know? Maybe because you reap what you sow. You know? You reap what you sow. It says, we looked for shalom, but no tube came, no good came. And for a time of health or rafeh, right? And behold, trouble. The snorting of his horses was heard from Dan. The whole land trembled at the sound of the neighing of his strong ones. You know who these strong ones are? For they are come and have devoured the land and all that is in it, the city and those that dwell therein. For behold, I will send serpents and cockatrices among you, which will not be charmed, and they shall bite you, says Yahuwah. When I would comfort myself against sorrow, my heart is faint in me. Behold, so man, we won't want to get past who these serpent and cockatrices. He's going to send them to you, and you can't charm them. You ain't gonna, man. Don't you know why the rulers that we have amongst us throughout time have been there? These rulers are serpents, cockatrices, set up after the father, the serpent. They're the seed of the serpent. And versus the seed of the woman. Well, so there's a seed of the serpent that's continuously going on. Hell yeah, there is. You think that was metaphorical? No, man. And it said the seed of the woman, not the seed of man. No, we ain't gonna get into it. I was thinking about it. The garden story is a, man, that's a whole nother story. That's a whole nother, we are truly deceived about what happened in the garden. Absolutely, 100%. Who the players were, what was going down, how it's happening, who was where and what and why and when. Yep. So check this out. When I would comfort myself against sorrow, my heart is faint in me. Behold, the voice of the cry of the daughter of my people, because of them that dwell in a far country. Is not YaHUaH in Zion? Is not her king in her? Do you know Zion? Jerusalem is Zion. Zion is Jerusalem. Yasharel is your Zion. Yasharel is the people. Zion is the people. Jerusalem is the people and the place. Come on, man. You gotta get beyond just the. It can't be either or. It's and right. Is not YaHUaH in Zion? Is not her king in her? Why have they provoked me to anger with their graven images and with strange vanities? The harvest is past. The summer is ended, and we are not saved. The harvest is past. The summer is ended. We're talking about today. Yom ThaRUaH. The summer's past. Today, summer's no longer. Summer's done. On y'all's time, summer is done. And we are not saved. YaHUaH save us. For the hurt of the daughter of my people am I hurt. I am darkened. I am blackened. I am black. Astonishment has taken hold on me. Is there no balm in Gilead? Is there no healer or physician there? Why then is not the health of the daughter of my people recovered? This was an ill-sickened state. It says, for the hurt of my daughter, people am I hurt. For the hurt of the daughter of my people am I hurt. I am black. Astonishment has taken hold on me. Oh man, someone make that a race thing right there, right? Is there no balm in Gilead? Is there no physician there? Why then is not the health of the daughter of my people recovered? He's overshadowed. He's darkened. He's digressed. That's what that means. You can try, yeah. Go look at the definition before you start making a doctrine out of something. Chapter 9, YeRaMYaHU. Oh, that my head were waters, and my eyes a fountain of tears, that I might weep day and night for the slain of the daughter of my people. Oh, that I had in the wilderness a lodging place of wayfaring men, that I might leave my people and go from them. For they be all adulterers, an assembly of treacherous men. And they bend their tongues like their bows for lies. Everybody like looking to try to get a lie so they can be the first to try to, like, I found this new lie, guys, and they want to spit it out like it's truth and it's just a bunch of crap. Because they want to be the first to be able to say something. It's pride. Pride has got people just trying to come up with their own doctrines of stuff. Truly, it's pride. In my opinion, it's pride. So, just so you guys know, I do have this going on YouTube as well. And I'm streaming in that regards to over there. My link to my YouTube page is on my profile in TikTok. So you can always go back and watch this if you want, if you're not able to finish it today. It says, and they bend their tongues, YeRaMYaHU 9:3. They bend their tongues like their bow for lies, but they are not valiant for the truth upon the earth. They only want to hear what they want to hear, and they only teach what they think they want to teach that benefits their doctrine, and they curve everything to fit their doctrine. but they don't want to hear the truth. Anything outside of their boxed-in truth, they don't hear it, they reject it, and it's a lie. Even if it is the truth, it's just not their truth. For they proceed from evil to evil, speaking evil upon evil doctrines, and they know not me, says Yahuwah. Take you heed every one of his neighbor, and trust you not in any brother, for every brother will utterly supplant, and every neighbor will walk with slanders. And they will deceive every one his neighbor. Right? What are we supposed to do? The commandments are about how you're supposed to love your neighbor as you love yourself. The reason why they deceive in their neighbors is because they deceive themselves. The reason why they don't love their neighbors is they don't love themselves. The reason why they don't want to commit adultery with their neighbor's wife is because they're cheating on their wife. Or maybe their wife's cheating on them. I'm just saying, you know, it's usually you're gonna reap what you sow. You're gonna reap what you sow. So reap righteousness, so y'all can give you, sow righteousness so you can reap righteousness, right? Why not? Why not? It says, and they will deceive everyone his neighbor, and will not speak the truth. They have taught their tongue to speak lies. That's real, because I've taught my tongue to speak truths. When I'm reading over stuff, when it says something that I know, like when it says God or Lord or something in here, I can read over that and teach my tongue to speak Yahuwah. Or when I see God, I know that's Eloah. Or, I can see that. And I know that based on me teaching myself how to speak truth instead of keep continuing to lie. To say the word God, which means the Babylonian deity of fortune and finance. Or to say Lord, which is Baal. And then say Lord God, which is Baal God, which is the deity in itself. Baal God. No, we serve Yahuwah Eloah. Ayalum. Which is everlasting. Ayalum. Which is the most high, everlasting. We're getting into some stuff here, y'all. So they speaking lies to everybody, right? They have taught their tongues to speak lies and weary themselves to commit iniquity. Your habitation is in the midst of deceit. Through deceit, they refuse to know me, says Yahuwah, because they deceive them themselves. They're teaching a doctrine. Therefore, thus says Yahuwah of Zabiah, of hosts, behold, I will melt them and try them. For how shall I do for the daughter of my people? Their tongue is as an arrow shot out. It speaks deceit. One speaks peacefully to his neighbor with his mouth, but in his heart lays his weight. But in his heart, he lays his weight, right? He's like, F this dude. Hey, bro, how's it going? I hate you. You know how it is? Because y'all is judging the thoughts and intents of your heart. It says the word of Yahuwah is sharper and quicker than any two-edged sword, piercing even into dividing asunder of soul and spirit and joint and marrow, and is a discerner of the thoughts and intents of the heart. Right? Their tongue is an arrow shot out. It speaks deceit. One speaks peacefully to his neighbor with his mouth, but in heart he lays his weight. Shall I not visit them for these things? Says Yahuwah, shall not my soul be avenged on such a nation as this? For the mountains will I take up a weeping. For the mountains will I take up a weeping and wailing, and for the habitations of the wilderness a lamentation, because they are burnt up, so that none can pass through them. Neither can men hear the voice of the cattle, but the fowl of the heavens and the beast are fled. They're gone. And I will make Jerusalem heaps and a den of dragons. And I will make the cities of Yahuwah desolate without a habitant. So who are the dragons? The rulers. A den of dragons. They're constantly coming and try to conquer Jerusalem. They want to rule it. Who is the wise man that may understand this? Who is the wise man that may understand this? And who is he to whom the mouth of Yahuwah has spoken, that he may declare it? For what the land perishes and is burnt up like a wilderness, that none passes through. And Yahuwah says, because they have forsaken my ThaRUaH, which I set before them, and have not obeyed my voice, neither walked therein, but have walked after the imagination of their own heart, and after Balaam, which their fathers taught them. Therefore, thus says Yahuwah Zabiah Eloah Yeshurah, behold, I will feed them, even this people, with wormwood, and give them water of gall to drink. I will scatter them also among the Goyim, or the heathen, or the nations, or the people, whom neither they nor their fathers have known. And I will send a sword after them, till I have consumed them. Thus says Yahuwah Zabiah, consider you, and call for the mourning women, that they may come, and send forth cunning women, that they may come. And let them make haste, and take up a wailing for us, that our eyes may run down with tears, and our eyelids gush out with waters. For a voice of wailing is heard out of Zion. How are we spoiled? We are greatly confounded, because we have forsaken the land, because our dwellings have cast us out. Yet hear the word of Yahuwah, O you women, and let your ear receive the word of his mouth, and teach your daughters wailing, and every one her neighbor lamentations. For death is come up into our windows, and entered into our palaces, to cut off the children from without, and the young men from the streets. Speak thus, says Yahuwah, even the carcasses of men shall fall as dung upon the open field, and as the handful after the harvestmen, and none shall gather them. Thus says Yahuwah, let not the wise man glory in his wisdom, neither let the mighty man glory in his might. Let not the rich man glory in his riches, but let that him that glorious glory in this, that he understands and knows me, that I am Yahuwah. Right? Glorify that you understand and know Yahuwah, which exercises loving kindness, judgment, righteousness in the earth. For in these things I delight, says Yahuwah. Behold, the days come, says Yahuwah, that I will punish all them which are circumcised with the uncircumcised. Egypt and Judah and Edom and the children of Ammon, Matzarim, Yehuda and Edom and the children of Ammon and Meub and all that are in the utmost corners that dwell in the wilderness. For all these nations are uncircumcised. Say yes, these are uncircumcised. And all the house of Yasharal are uncircumcised in their heart. It included Yehuda. Everybody's uncircumcised in their heart. That's why we need Mashiach. Hear you the chapter 10 of YeRaMYaHU. See, a lot of y'all go here to do Christmas, but reading through it in context changes this. Chapter 10, YeRaMYaHU chapter 10. Hear you the word, hear the Messiah, which Yahuwah speaks unto you. O house of Yasharal, thus says Yahuwah, learn not the way of the Goyim, and be not dismayed at the signs of Shemim, for the Goyim are dismayed at them. For the customs of the people are vain. For one cuts a tree out of the forest, the work of the hands of the workmen with the axe. They deck it with silver and with gold. They fasten with nails and with hammers, that it move not. They are upright as the palm tree, but speak not. They must needs be born, because they cannot go. Be not afraid of them, for they cannot do evil, neither also is it in them to do good. They're idle. That's why they're idols. For inasmuch as there is none like unto you, O Yahuwah, you are great, and your name is great in might. Who would not fear you, O King of Goyim? For to you does it appertain, for as much as among all the wise men of the Goyim, and in all their kingdoms, there is none like unto you, Yahuwah. But they are altogether brutish and foolish. The stock is a doctrine of vanities. That's what most people are giving you, as a doctrine of their own vanities. Silver spread into plates is brought from Tarshish. Gold from Uphaz, the work of the workmen, and of the hands of the founder. Blue and purple is their clothing. They are all the work of cunning men. But Yahuwah is the true Eloah. But Yahuwah is the true Eloah. YeRaMYaHU 10:10. He is the living Eloah, an everlasting king, in Olam Malak. At his wrath the Erats shall tremble, and the Goyim shall not be able to abide his indignation. Thus shall you say unto them, the Elohim that you have not made, the Elohim that have not made the heavens and the earth, even they shall perish from the earth and from under these heavens. He has made the earth by his power, or El. He has established the world by his wisdom, and has stretched out the heavens by his discretion. When he utters his voice, there is a multitude of waters in the heavens, and he causes the vapors to ascend from the ends of the earth. He makes lightnings with rain, and brings forth the wind out of his treasures. Wow. Did y'all just reveal to us here how the waters are in the heavens, and how the vapors ascend from the ends of the earth, and how lightning comes with the rain, and the winds from the four corners of the earth out of his treasures? Every man is brutish in his knowledge. Verse 14. Every founder is confounded by the graven image, for his molten image is falsehood, and there is no breath in them. They are vanity and the work of errors. In the time of their visitation, they shall perish. They ain't going to be able to hold up to truth. Amen. They can't. Amen. The portion of YaHUaH. They are vanity and the work of errors. In the time of their visitation, they shall perish. The portion of YaHUaH is not like them. So are you doing these things? All that stuff, are you doing all those things? If you're doing anything that the heathens are doing, can you call yourself the portion of YaHUaH? Was Jacob doing these things? Was Jacob doing these things? No. He didn't take no, right? Raquel did. She took the teraphim out from her father Laban. Should have left it where it was. That's why she got in trouble with her in her womb. I was wondering about that. And remember, because where did she hide that idol? She hid it under her spot, and she said she was unclean. She was. She should have never put that thing under her, close to her womb. Should have never did that. She should have just let that idol go. Let them have you. Take your household idol. Go. For the portion of Jacob is not like them, for he is the former of all things, and Yesharel is the rod of his inheritance. Yahuwah Zabiah is his name. Gather up your wares out of the land, O inhabitant of the fortress. For thus says Yahuwah, behold, I will sling out the inhabitants of the land at this once, and will distress them, that they may find it so. Woe is me for my hurt. My wound is grievous. But I said, truly, this is a grief, and I must bear it. Think it was y'all, his own people? He didn't want to do it, but man, y'all, it's like a father when he has to whoop his child. When a father has to discipline the child that he loves so much because the kid's just being bad. And he knows if he don't discipline the child's going to continue to be bad and get worse and then really not respect him. But you discipline your child, doesn't your child actually respect you more? Not have to speed them, but I mean, if you get to that, yeah. But I'm saying, discipline the child and save his soul from hell. My tabernacle is spoiled, and all my cords are broken. My children are gone forth of me, and they are not. There is none to stretch forth my tent anymore, and to set up my curtains. Y'all ready for this? Y'all ready for this? Jeremiah 10:21. For the pastors are become brutish, and have not sought Yahuwah. Therefore they shall not prosper, and all their flocks shall be scattered. Behold, the noise of the brute is come, and a great commotion out of the north country, to make the cities of Yehuda desolate, and a den of dragons. O Yahuwah, I know that the way of man is not in himself. It is not in man that walks to direct his steps. O Yahuwah, correct me, but with judgment, not in your anger, lest you bring me to nothing. Amen. But please correct me, Yahuwah. Pour out your fury upon the heathen, the goyim, that know you not, and upon the families that call not on your name. For they have eaten up Jacob, and devoured him, and consumed him, and made his habitation desolate. Created Christianity and told act like Yesharel didn't even exist no more. What? How dare y'all create a whole new religion? Act like Yesharel or Jacob doesn't exist. It's always going to exist. Got one more chapter. Y'all ready? Here we go. Finish this out with me, y'all. YeRaMYaHU, chapter 11. The word. Remember, every time we see the word, we know this is the Mashiach, right? The word that came to YeRaMYaHU from Yahuwah, because it has to come from the Father always. I love it. Once you see the Mashiach and everything, saying, hear you the Mashiach of this covenant. Hear you the words of this covenant. The word is Yahuwah, Yehouhosha. And hear the words of this covenant. And speak unto the men of Yehuda, and to the inhabitants of Jerusalem, and say you unto them, thus says Yahuwah Elohi Yisrael, cursed be the man that obeys not the words of this breath, which I commanded your fathers in the day that I brought them forth out of the land of Mitzrayim, from the iron furnace, saying, from brass, from judgment, right? saying, obey my voice and do them according to all which I command you. So shall you be my people. Do all these commandments, so you shall be my people. And I will be your YaHUaH. So if you don't keep the commandments, you're not his people, and he's not your YaHUaH. So you can't claim Yahuwah is your YaHUaH if you don't keep his commandments. And if you don't keep his commandments, then you're not his people. Just like James said. Amen. 11:5. Jeremiah 11:5. That I may perform the oath. That I may perform. There was a promise, right? Made. Hey, I got this covenant. Now there's a performance. Promise and performance. Don't you know all contract and business law is based on the ThaRUaH and the scriptures? It's all contract law. It all comes from here. The ThaRUaH. Right? That verse 5, 11:5. That I may perform the oath which I swore to your fathers, to give them a land flowing with milk and honey, as it is this day. This is land beyond the flesh, beyond the natural. It's a spiritual land that we're spiritual Beulah's land that we can get and dwell with Yahuwah forever. If you're stuck just in this flesh, you're really, I'm sad. I'm sorry. You have to think beyond this flesh. This is going to be done away with. We're going to die, and there's going to be everything's going to be renewed in the spiritual setting. Renewed. For sure. For sure. That's what you got to think about. Wow, it's going to be crazy. It's going to be new. You're like, well, okay. And it's going to be a whole new knowing and growing. It says, unto a land flowing with milk and honey, as it is this day. Then answered I and said, Amen, Yahuwah. So be it, right? Amen, O Yahuwah. Then Yahuwah said unto me, proclaim all these words in the cities of Yehuda and in the streets of Jerusalem, saying, hear you the Mashiach of this covenant, the words of this covenant, of this brit, and do them. For I earnestly protested unto your fathers in the day that I brought them out of the land of Mitzrayim, even unto this day. Rise early, protesting, saying, obey my voice. Obedience is better than sacrifice. So to do what Yahuwah says is better than sacrifice, and we don't have to do up animal sacrifices. So then to obey is even better and easier, since we don't have all these blood sacrifices to make, and all we have to do is obey what the word says, is to plead the blood and believe that that blood is the sacrifice. So that's obeying, so that we can enter into his holy place and get the fire to light upon us and be washed clean in the waters of his name, death, and resurrected life. Oh, now I can approach Yahuwah because I'm following his word. Okay, I get it. Verse 8, chapter 11, Jeremiah 11:8 says, yet they obeyed not, nor inclined their ear, but walked every one in the imagination of their own evil heart. Therefore I will bring upon them all the words of this covenant which I commanded them to do, but they did them not. And Yahuwah said unto me, a conspiracy is found among the men of Yehuda and among the inhabitants of Jerusalem. They are turned back to the iniquities of their forefathers, which refused to hear my words, and they went after other Elohim to serve them. The house of Yasharal and the house of Yehuda have broken my brit, which I made with their fathers. Therefore thus says Yahuwah, behold, I will bring wrath upon them, which they shall not be able to escape. And though they shall cry unto me, I will not hearken unto them. Then shall the cities of Yehuda and the inhabitants of Jerusalem go and cry unto the Elohim unto whom they offer incense. Yes, they do. But they shall not save them at all in the time of their trouble or tribulation. For according to the number of your cities were your Elohim. That's how many deities they had according to the number of their cities. O Yehuda, And according to the number of your streets of Jerusalem, they have set up altars to them that shameful thing, even altars to burn incense to Baal. In all these cities now and there, they have all these different churches and on the corners, and they're all what? All the Baal, making images and idols, shameful things. Having Elohim and he's talking about this is God. Well, that's just a generic word anyway. But then if you look at the actual word and definition, it's the Babylonian deity of fortune and finance. And then if you look at the word in etymology that's used today, it's the Dutch word, and it comes from a German word of Goth, Gothic, dark. Yeah. So I mean, there's no reason we should be using the word God unless you just choose to, and it's a deceptive word. Therefore, verse 14, 11:14, pray not you for this people, neither lift up a cry or prayer for them, for I will not hear them in the time that they cry to me for their trouble. What has my beloved to do in my house, seeing she has wrought lewdness with many, and the holy flesh is passed from you? When you do evil, then you rejoice. YaHUaH called your name, a green olive tree, fair and of a goodly fruit. With the noise of a great tumult, he has kindled fire upon it, and the branches of it are broken. YaHUaH called your name, as it says, for YaHUaH of Zabiah, that planted you, has pronounced evil against you. For the evil of the house of Yasharal and the evil of the house of Yehuda, which they have done against themselves, to provoke me to anger in offering incense unto Baal. And YaHUaH has given me knowledge of it, and I know it. Then you showed me their doings. For I was like a lamb or an ox that is brought to the slaughter, and I knew not that they had devised devices against me, saying, let us destroy the tree with the fruit thereof, and let us cut off from the land of the living. Let's cut him off from the land of the living, that his name may be no more remembered. But, O Yahuwah Zabiah, that judges righteously, that tries the reins and the hearts, the kidneys and the hearts, let me see your vengeance on them. For unto you have I revealed my cause. Therefore, thus says YaHUaH of the men of Anathoth, that seek your life, saying, prophesy not in the name of YaHUaH, that you die not by our hand. They didn't want them. He was prophesying against them in the name of YaHUaH, and they were pissed. They were, don't prophesy over here against us. And he said, don't do it. Therefore, thus says YaHUaH of Zabiah, behold, I will punish them. The young men shall die by the sword, their sons and their daughters shall die by famine. And there shall be no remnant of them. For I will bring evil upon the men of Anathoth, even the year of their visitation. I'm going to read through 12. Righteous are you, O YaHUaH. When I plead with you, yet let me talk with you of your judgments. Wherefore does the way of the wicked prosper? Wherefore are all they happy that deal very treacherously? You have planted them. Yes, they have taken root. They grow. Yes, they bring forth fruit. You are near in their mouth and far from their kidneys. But you, O YaHUaH, know me. You have seen me and tried my heart toward you. Pull them out like sheep for the slaughter, and prepare them for the day of slaughter. How long shall the land mourn, and the herbs of every field wither, for the wickedness of them that dwell therein? The beasts are consumed, and the birds, because they say, he shall not see our last end. If you have run with the footmen, and they have wearied you, then how can you contend with horses? And if in the land of Shalom, wherein you trust, they wearied you, how will you do in the swelling of Jordan? The flooding. even your brother and the house of your father, even they have dealt treacherously with you. Yes, they have called the multitude after you. You guys, remember who all this is against. Everything may speak naturally, but everything's about the Mashiach and how they're denying the Messiah and the Mashiach and the word of YaHUaH. When they deny the word, they're not just denying the prophet that's speaking it. They're denying the Mashiach, who is the word of YaHUaH. Right? It says, for even your brother, Yehi, and the house of your father, even they have dealt treacherously with you. Yes, they have called a multitude after you. Believe them not, though they speak fair words unto you. Like what they'll do, people try to relate to you in your flesh and then drag you into the doctrine of deceit and devils. Because they try to, oh, look, we're both the same flesh skin tone. Let's hate these other people that aren't the same skin tone. Well, it's good. You get in a group of people that they say, oh, well, you're of our skin tone because you're not of that skin tone. Well, now, once they totally exclude everybody of that skin tone, then they're going to start to create powers within the power. That's the skin tones of who's higher based on skin tones. And there's going to be a chart of it. So you're going to be at the least to the top of the skin tone chart. It's a doctrine of devils, man. Even though they speak fair words unto you, it's devils. It says, I have forsaken my house. I have left my heritage. I have given the dearly beloved of my soul into the hand of her enemies. My heritage is unto me as a lion in the forest. It cries out against me. Therefore have I hated it. My heritage is unto me as a speckled bird. The birds round about are against her. Come you, assemble all the beasts of the field. Come to devour. Many pastors have destroyed my vineyard. This is why I can't continue. They have trodden my portion underfoot. They have made my pleasant portion a desolate wilderness. They have made it desolate, and being desolate, it mourns unto me. The whole land is made desolate because no man lays it to heart. The spoilers are come upon all high places through the wilderness. For the sword of YaHUaH shall devour from the one end of the land even to the other end of the land. No flesh shall have shalom. Remember, we are Yisrael. You got to think of yourself. You have to be able to think about yourself. Think about things on a parallel levels of truth, especially spiritually speaking. That this is our journey, our spiritual journey. We are Yisrael, coming out of Egypt, going through the wilderness, entering into the possession of the promise of the land of Yisrael. But we are Yisrael on a journey. On a journey. Check this out. It says, the spoilers are come upon high places through the wilderness. For YaHUaH, the sword of YaHUaH shall devour from the one end of the land even to the other end of the land. No flesh shall have shalom. They have sown wheat, but shall reap thorns. They have put themselves to pain, but shall not profit. They shall be ashamed of your revenues, because of your fruits, because of the fierce anger of YaHUaH. Thus says YaHUaH against all my evil neighbors that touch the inheritance which I have caused my people Yasharel to inherit. Behold, I will pluck them out of their land, and pluck them out of the house of Yehuda from among them. And it shall come to pass, after that I have plucked them out, I will return and have compassion on them. And I will bring them again, every man, to his heritage, and every man to his land. And it shall come to pass. So hopefully you're building up your treasures in heaven. Building up your treasures in the new city, New Jerusalem. Hopefully that's what you're doing. It says, and every man, I will bring to him again, every man to his land. And it shall come to pass if they will diligently learn the ways of my people, to swear by my name YaHUaH lives, as they taught my people to swear by Baal, which is Lord, right? If they swear by the name YaHUaH and stop saying Lord, but swear by my name YaHUaH, then shall they be built in the midst of my people. But if they will not obey, I will utterly pluck up and destroy the nation, says Yahuwah. Amen. So we went through YeRaMYaHU 7 through 12. Jeremiah 7 through 12. And a lot the reason why is because we need to be a trumpet. We need to be shouting on the mountains. We need to be a trumpet to the people. The problem is that we're telling falsehoods to our neighbors one to another because we don't have no love. And then we think we can just say whatever we want, make up truths as we want, which is definitely not the case. You know, as much as we would hope and we wish that we could do that, we can't. So, yeah, they're putting up the partition that that the Mashiach tore down. So, man, is Yom ThaRUaH? Anybody got any questions? Anybody on topic? You know, I get, we have lots of questions, right? And most of the time, your question is because you want to teach. So if you want, technically, if you just want to teach, and that's what your question is, then maybe withhold your question. If you have a question about something that we're talking about, or something that was spoken or taught today, or if you have a question about just the tabernacle, because we're showing the tabernacle, or Yom ThaRUaH, or the holy days, any of those things, then please feel free to ask. And thank you guys for the gifts. I really appreciate that. That's crazy. So, you know, I have never really looked into that. But, you know, something that I've been going through in real life is, and I think that's how Yah teaches you lessons, is that you read His Word, which is theoretical in nature, right? Because you're reading it and you're getting it in here. And you're like, okay, I hear that. I accept His Word. And then as you're going through life, you're doing different works. For instance, I've been gardening lately, getting my gardening up to par, getting it ready for the the fall garden to going through the winter, and then so have everything in place. And you see things you start recognizing truths about the wheats and the tares, and about not pulling everything up. Digging deep down, getting down to where so you can plant things deep, and so that's going to survive and not just get washed away if the floods came, and and the seeds get just put washed away in the floods. And then thinking about the man that come to plant, right, and how those seeds are, where they're planted at and how they're planted. Just all these different principles I'm thinking about while I'm growing and while I'm planting, and thinking about, hey, do I need to let the crops, all the scriptures that are going through about planting, and because it's always about reaping and sowing, and fig trees and pomegranates, and so I'm building up my garden. So that's just something that I've been thinking about, and I was like, wow. So remember, there was trees in the garden that Adam was eating off of, in that, and he didn't have to do anything but tend to the trees, right? Just tend to the garden. That was all that he was required to do. And so from nature, we're naturally gardeners in the beginning. And so that's what I believe we all should do. We should be able to grow plants and grow things. And so in my book, I list a lot of trees that mentioned in the scriptural trees. So I'm working on building up my, as we call it, food forest there. So, we have a fig tree, we have a pomegranate tree, we have a lemon tree, an orange tree, or citrus. We have a moringa tree, which moringa tree is what some people say replaced a lot of people that do sea moss and all that. It says that it has the exact same qualities, but you can source it and you can harvest it and you can eat it right off the tree and whatnot. So I'm growing moringa tree right now. We're growing, all the herbs, tomato plants, pepper plants, mulberry tree. We're going to be doing cinnamon. I'm getting a frankincense bush and a myrrh bush. To get the resin. I'm building up some balm trees so I can get the resin out of that to have balm. Growing maple trees, or trees that give you syrup, right? Because y'all gave us the trees for the healing, and it's all free. It gives you fruit. So we should be growing trees that give back to us, that have a purpose, that have a reason. There's cinnamon. There's all kinds of things you can almost grow anywhere, and if not, get a greenhouse, a small greenhouse. You can put those things in a greenhouse to grow. So I think by being a gardener, you're actually putting into action some things. And when you read in the scriptures, you'll be able to really have an empirical way of applying this knowledge, because you're not just reading it theoretically. You're seeing how seeds planted and when it grows and when you give it water, right? And then Yahuwah gives it the increase. Same thing with the scriptures. You can put all of it to the scriptures. What chapters again did you go through? We went through chapters Jeremiah 7 through 12. And then you can go and check it out. Shalom to you. You can go and check out, if you want to miss the teaching, back on YouTube. It'll be labeled Yom ThaRUaH, walking through Jeremiah. So you can enjoy it through that route. But, and just gardening. So I know also, my wife, she loves, that's really a joy to her. And it brings, like, I see her get happy when she's doing her planting. And I'll be trying to tell, I'm like, hey, I'm doing this with you, But she loves it. She's like, she goes hardcore for her plants. And she does got a green thumb. So she, in that sense, right? She's naturally able to get things going. So I love doing it with her and planting and growing in partnership. So what I had to do is I gave her own beds. Like, hey, these are all your beds. You get to grow anything, how and where and what you want. I said, but these beds over here, I didn't even claim it as mine. I said, this is just what and how we're growing in these beds, right? And so, because I was like, I have some structure and order over here and how I'm going to grow it. Yeah. So, again, it's based on the new moon. It's that simple. The Sabbaths are based on the new moon. So we've seen the new moon based on the scriptures, based on it. Nobody saw it on Monday night, so I had to wait, and it was seen on Tuesday evening. I seen it. Me and Malay blew the shofar. But yeah, you know what I'm saying, babe? Yeah, I had to create these, but then so she growing all kinds of stuff over there. But it's cool because we got beans popping up from like last year that we were growing, and she has these basil plants that are like hardcore trees now. Like, they're bushes in there. And she's like 4 of them, and I'm like, do we need all these? She's like, yes. I'm like, do we? I mean, these things grow out. And I was like, so she allowed me to move one, which opened up I opened up. But I'm going to create her a forest, right? So I'm getting the trees, and I'm just growing them out and lining them up in the yard so that we have just this backyard that gives back. And then on the sides of everything, we're growing raised bed gardens so that it's constantly growing around the outsides of the trees. So that's just an exciting thing that me and my wife have been doing. We're taking a rest right now. I want to go back and work so bad, and I do, but because I want to be able to, I know y'all, but I'm like, have to stop because it's the Shabbat today. It's Yom ThaRUaH. We can't work technically. So, you should, when we say shalom, you can say shalom back. It's a greeting. It's like when you say hi to someone, hey, what's up? Hey, what's up? Say what's up back, or, so shalom, shalom. I do it. That's the way I do it. It's technically shalom aleichem, and you say aleichem shalom, right? You say it backwards back to somebody, but we know how we get lazy and do things. Shalom, shalom. Shalom, me homie. Do things quick like that. But it's greeting with people. You should definitely, I wouldn't see nothing about not keeping it, but it's definitely the first day of the 7th month today, Yom ThaRUaH. It's not the New Year. It's not the sacred New Year. So what they call this is the civil New Year. So that's why they call it Rosh Hashanah. Technically, Rosh Hashanah is in the spring, is in month 1, day 1 of month 1 of the year. That's Rosh Hashanah. It's the first of the year, as it says in the scriptures, right? And that's the day I was born on Rosh Hashanah, on day 1 of the year. So this is really Yom ThaRUaH. So it's the Feast of Trumpets, the day of shouting, and that's really what it is. So they try to confuse you a little bit with that because they do the either or, not the and. So yeah, anybody trying to grow, if you're getting your winter crops going tonight, right now, today, the New Year is the civil New Year. It's the first day of the fall. The first, so 6 months, unless it's the 13th month from now, will be your new year. Will be the new year, and that'll be the spring, first day of spring, first day of the first month of that year. So what will happen is you'll have what's called the equinox, right? That's not a pagan thing. It's based on where the sun's at, and that's why people have charts to show you where the sun sets. on different days so that they know when the sun sets on that day based on where it comes across the sky and sets. They know what season it is because the sun, it ascends and descends based on its revolutions around the earth. And so then as it sets, you can see where it's setting. And so then you can know, okay, it's coming. And that's how people would know when the seasons are coming. So right now, if you see the sunset, you can either yesterday or today where it sets on the horizon, on the western horizon, or even where it rises. You can look and put a marker from a point where you're standing, and you can know that next year when you're looking and as the sun sets, you can gauge that. That's how people do it, and that's what we're doing on our land. We're building a sundial, a clock, just for itself. And then we're also building, like, that's where Stonehenge and all the pyramids and all those things, those were based because they were clocks. And they were clocks. And they were showing where the sun was setting or the moon was setting based on variation, time of the year, so they can know what time it was. That all those different various structures were all clocks. Every one of them were a clock in one, or clock or calendar in one way or another. Even the clock on our wrist, the watch on our wrist, is a picture of the earth. So if you think about it, right, you have the ice barrier around the edge. You have a dome over the top. You have the center, northern frozen center, and you have the everything's attached to that. And you have the sun, the moon, and the stars, which go around the earth. And then you have the sun is a picture of the second's hand. The moon is a picture of the minute's hand, and the stars are a picture of the hour's hand. You know, so to speak, right? In the sense that they're going faster. The seconds is the sun. The moon is the minutes, and then the sun, stars are the hour hand. So you can see how it's the three different lights that go around are structured. That's where you think they got to watch from. The shape of the earth, how the time, because the timepieces are the sun, moon, and the stars. So how you think, how else they're going to get it? That's the only place they can get a time from, is from what we have. You can't just make it up. So people create structures, and then they create idols and whatnot around these structures. But then that's how people can tell time. I write about it in my book about various methods to be able to start to observe and keep time for yourself. Because it's confusing a little bit, because there's so many different variations of timepieces that are presented to you now. From every culture almost has their own, but almost all of them are wrong. Even the current Hebrew calendar, because all of them take some type of reconciliation method. No matter what, they have to have some type of reconciliation method to keep it on course with what's actually happening. Otherwise, it'll fall back in the seasons, no matter what calendar you're on. Yeah, any other questions? Yeah, that you guys have, open it up, ask what you might, you know. If you guys really want to get blessed from the scriptures, from the word, is read the whole book through. You realize it won't take you that long. If like you're going to go read Isaiah, go read the whole book of Isaiah or Yeshayahu. If you're going to read YeRaMYaHU, read the whole book of YeRaMYaHU. Because then you'll get it, man. Honestly, you're going to see the whole battle is about these fallen, and especially in Isaiah, Yeshayahu is these fallen deities and powers and mighty ones and terrible ones and the dragons and the serpents and the owls and all of those, all these powers that are trying to influence you against Yahuwah. That's what it's explaining who they are. And you're deceived to not think that they exist and that the giants never were real, and they say, oh, it's the line of man, and all, a bunch of BS, right? And because they want you to be dumbed down. So what do you think about the stuff about ancient aliens being our beginning? Well, so what happens is, again, this is the either or and, is that what are aliens, right? Aliens, they say, are the host of the Shemim, right? So we know in the beginning there were Elohim, there were Seraphim, Cherubim, Uphanim, right? Malakim, Teraphim. You had these different various hosts of heaven that are there. And Yahuwah created all of them. And so when he created all these things, he gave them certain powers. That's what Elohim mean. They're powers. And when he gave them the powers themselves, they thought themselves to be the power that they were given or were. And when these utilize and allow these things to do things based on his word, right? They had to follow the word, and they created and they thought themselves to be the deity and the power once they did these things through the word. They didn't even have the word, right? The word was given to them, and they rebelled against the word. And so that's how things came to be. And that's, how do you think darkness came upon the face of the deep? Why? All of a sudden, y'all created the deities, the heavens, and the earth. I talk about this all in chapter 9 of my book. Everything we're talking about right now. And he created the deities, and then the heavens and the earth. And so all of a sudden, darkness was on the face of the deep. Well, how did darkness all of a sudden get on the face? Because these deities, y'all had to, he had to put everything under darkness because everything was trying to rise up against him. He's like, oh, hell no. And then the last one rose up in the end, the dragon, and this is the last week, man. And that's what we see. And Yah was creating, because they were always creating man in their own image. They were always trying to create these different things in their own images. And finally, in the very end, after everything's been done, after YaHUaH rested, then he said, I'm going to form man in my own image, he, him, man. Before that, in day 6 and week before that, they said, let us make man in our image. They, them, male, female. So that's where that came from. Because woman wasn't even coming till y'all put a man to sleep and took him out. Took the rib out and then formed woman. So they, the deities, the Malachim, or whatever level that was fallen, made man in their own image. They, them, male, female, hermaphrodites. So they felt like Halal Shaitan. Halal is even the son of Shakar. So they fell, yeah, they fell. All of them. Then that's where it was constant falling. People think that Azazel fell when the others fell. He already fell. And he was saying, hey, he was making agreement with them to fall with him, or he said, I alone shall be left alone to bear this burden and this sin. Because guess what? Who Azazel was? He was the serpent speaking to Eve. How else is all sin ascribed to Azazel? He was the one, serpent tongue, speaking to YaHUaH. His children, Queen and Habal. Sheth, after they were out of the garden, it said, was born to Adam in his own image. He was a son born in his image, after his likeness. Before that, they were just born. They weren't born in Adam's image. Maybe the woman. They weren't better than Adam. And look who they followed. One was vain. Habal. Habal means vanity. Habal. He was the Baal. The first one to die. He was Baal. Abel was Baal. The Ha in Hebrew means the Baal. Habal. Vanity. Right? So you have Habal who got killed. He was the first one to meet death. Habal said, hey, death, how you doing? He started crying out. His blood started crying out. Death was like, hey, nice to meet you. First, wait, I've been waiting on you. Right? And so that's why they worship Habal and death and the dead. And Queen, which Cain's real name in Hebrew is Queen. He's the first queen. He was exiled to the land of the exiles, which were all the other exiles. Who were the other exiles? All the other what? What? All the other man, woman, male, female, made in their image were in the land of what? Exiles, in the land of Nod, of nude. Yeah, man, get your eyes open. What we've been told is a bunch of shit. I'm just keeping it real. That's what it is and what it's been. And so when we've been fed this bunch of crop, is that we have to go back, because what they do is they hide reality in fantasy, and they'll present it in a puffed up version, so where they'll put a bunch of the truth in there and they'll cover it in a bunch of lies, and then that's how they deceive us. They represent it in another way, like movies. Movies is another way to communicate for the adversary. It's all through Hollywood. So they communicate and represent truths in their version, factor, form, or face, right? And they represent it in their way, in a modern version. It's that we can comprehend. But there's light, they don't comprehend us. When we speak to it, they don't comprehend the light. So the darkness is just constantly trying to show us how it came to be. Like the elves and dwarves and all these different fantasies and fake fallacies and whatnot, and who they are, and the Rephaim, these giants and all this stuff. These things really all existed before man was even created in week 2. This was all happening in week 1. And then man came. And they were like, who is man that you are mindful of him? How you made him a little lower than the angels. They were jealous of us. Because we were made in whose image? Yahuwah's image. We weren't made in the image of the Elohim only. We were made in the image of Yahuwah, Eloah himself. So that's how they get us. They use a lot of, because there's no new thing under the sun. So even fantasy, fiction, lies, and all that stuff has to be rooted on some basis of truth. Has to be. But they can't even root it out. It has to be rooted in some truth and then covered in deception and lies and fantasy. All right. Yep. Did the woman lay with the word? Let's talk about the tree. What was the tree? It was the tree of knowledge of good and evil, right? Let's talk. So knowledge is Yadai. The tree of Yadai, Yadai Tobi Rai, right? The tree of knowledge, the It Yadai Tobir Rai, Tobur Rai, right? The tree of knowledge of good and evil. And so the word knowledge there is the same word. So daith, right? Knowledge, knowledge. Okay, so he would know his wife. Daith. When it says Adam knew his wife, or he daith, right? His wife. It's the same word off of yadai. It's the same word to know or knowledge. So then we go back to the tree. Let's look at the tree. I write about all this in my book. The tree it says the tree of, let's think about it, the tree of sex, good, and evil. The tree was at some point something that they were going to partake in. They were not prepared and ready. They hadn't ate enough of life into them to be able to deal with this tree of death, life, the tree of sex, of good and evil. And check it out, because think about, with sex you have the good of procreation, but with that procreation and the life that comes from it, that person's gonna die. So there's the good and evil. Then on the side of that you have the evil of the evil, whereas people will take the evil side of the sex and make it a curse, right? They'll make it through unwilling approaches. And so there you have the evil side of something that is intended to be good, to bring forth life. It brings forth death to others. And so that's why you have the tree of sex, of good and evil, because it wasn't supposed to come forth that way. We weren't ready to receive that knowledge because we hadn't lived life yet. So how if we hadn't received the fullness of life yet, how could we procreate life? So now we barely had a tenth of life in us. And then we ate off this thing to procreate the state that we were in. And so now we were still in death. And so that's what happened, because we couldn't procreate in this light that we were supposed to be in yet. We weren't spiritually mature in that level. So that's forth. See, we could go down that train of thought. Did Adam Esha, because her name before that, right? Before she was Eve, was Adam Esha. She was Adam woman. So Adam Esha, I can tell you this. It says that she spoke with the serpent. Where was Adam? So if I was doing it to play sense, right? And we're talking here. We're not saying this is factual, okay? We're just looking at a possibility. That's what we need to be able to do without somebody wanting to argue. But if we look at just looking at it plain, She was with the serpent. The serpent, though, I don't think, and I'm not sure, because the serpent, it never says the serpent was in the garden. So let's set some ground rules. It never says the serpent was actually in the garden. She only spoke to the serpent about the tree that's in the garden, right? All the animals, it never once said that none of the animals were in the garden. It only says that Adam came and named the animals, including the serpent. Well, guess what? On day 6, that day 6 man, which it never talks about the serpent, right? The day 6 man, he was made ruler or lord over all the animals of the earth, of the sea, of the earth, of the air. Beastmaster, right? He was the beastmaster because he was made with them. And so that Adam, that animal, that man, was brought to Adam that was made in Yahuwah's image. And after Yahuwah placed him in the garden, which was a protection or a hedge about him, he brought all these animals to Adam and he named them, including the serpent. His name was Azazel, but Adam called him Nachash. He said, Nachash, because you're more naked. Subtle, that word subtle means naked. He said, you're more naked than any of these other beasts of the field. You're more like me than any of these other beasts of the field. He said, you're more subtle, Nachash. So subtle is just one word. It's the Irim and Irum. That word is based on nakedness and exposed, right? So here, let me get to this. And so what's happening is that he named the serpent. Well, the Adam male and female, seeing Yahuwah made him a mate, made him a mate, and then Adam male and female, Nakash, was jealous of Adam, because he couldn't go in the garden. He didn't have. All he had to do was tend the garden. Tend the garden. This other guy had all this other stuff he had to do, right? Repopulate the earth, do all these different things, right? But YeRaMYaHU, right? All he was commanded to do was tend the garden and do not eat off of that tree. Do not have sex with that woman, right? That's all he was told to do. Don't eat off of the tree. And so what happened here is that you have the serpent. Look, he's seen. You think he didn't see the MaShYKh, the Most High Yahuwah put Adam to sleep? Well, where was he was putting him to sleep? How long? See, here's a question that we have. They're in what's called the Garden of Adon. This is called the Garden of Time, Pleasure, right? Eternity, or witnesses. The word Ad is rooted in these words. So he was in this Garden of Time, the Garden of Witnesses, the Garden of Pleasure, the Garden of Eternity, right? And so he was in this garden. So how long, if time has existed as we know it now, because death hadn't set in, so was time as we know it going wrong? Not necessarily. So for them, he was in this garden of eternity. And outside, so to speak, of time. And so then Adam went to sleep. And then he pulled out the rib. He put him to sleep, opened him up, took out just the rib, closed him back up, and formed the woman, right? How long was Adam asleep? How long was the woman awakened and there before Yahuwah woke Adam and presented her to him? It's a question I have. How long? You ain't going to find this in truth. It's just things you say, okay, maybe I'll reveal it to you. But so then with those things that are unanswerable, then you say, okay, but then at one point they were both awakened. Right? I really talk about this in my book because I had to write it down because they give us such a short version of it and move on to the rest of the book that you're like, hold on, well, there's something else going on here, right? It says right here in Genesis, Bereshit 3:21. Bereshit 3:21 says, and Yahuwah Elohah caused a deep sleep to fall upon Adam Aish, and he slept. And he took one of his ribs and closed up the flesh instead thereof. And the rib which Yahuwah Elohah had taken from man made he a woman and brought her unto the man. And Adam said, this is now bone of my bones and flesh of my flesh. She shall be woman, called woman or Esha, because she was taken out of Aish, or man. Therefore shall Aish leave his father and his mother, and shall cleave unto his Isha, and they shall be one Bashar. They were both Irum, naked. The man, the Adam, and Adam Asha, Aish, and his Isha were not ashamed. Now the Nakash was more Irum than any beast of the field, naked, because all of a sudden talked about they were both naked. See, this is the trickery why they saved that word. It should say now the serpent was more naked than any beast of the field. Well, they were naked and not ashamed. Right? Come on now. So, because they were in the garden. They were in the garden of desire. They were in the garden of pleasure. Looking at the good. We're just enjoying what Yah has made for us. And the serpent's like, what? I'm going to help make them fall. Pissed off. No, I'm reading from the the King James Version. I just read it based on what it should say. Yeah, the eyes weren't open. Exactly. They weren't looking at that. They weren't focused on that. Exactly. Exactly. The eyes weren't open yet. Amen. And so, because the death, they were on another level. They were spiritually. They were spiritual there. And so it says, and the woman said unto the serpent. No, it says, and he said unto the woman, yes, as Yahuwah said, you should not eat of every tree of the garden. And this is where she messed up. And the woman said unto the serpent, why the hell she even talked to him? Why the hell are you talking to the serpent? Where's Adam at? Where's Adam at? She must have left him. Went somewhere. Why are you talking to the serpent? And that's what happens is women out there talking to the serpent, right? She should have went and talked to Adam. And asked Adam and say, hey, I have a question. So, so it has these different things. So I have work, and I'm not even working today. Work emails are coming through. Like, what the heck? When you're a boss, you're never really off work, right? Salary, you're always working. So yeah, man. So what was happening here was Adam should have. If anybody was to speak, but Adam knew better. Adam wasn't trying to have a conversation with the serpent. Like, what the hell are you doing over there talking to the serpent for? Right? Maybe she was doing what Adam wanted to do in his. She's like, well, I don't know, but maybe she'll fulfill the desires of my heart, right? Because she's from him. So then it says, because she added to it, he says you can't even touch it. Yahweh never said you couldn't touch it. He said don't eat off of that tree. That's all he said. Don't eat off of that tree. He didn't say you couldn't. He's supposed to tend to all the trees of the garden and eat them all. He said except eat off of that tree, right? So he had to tend to the tree. They knew of the tree, so they could touch it. Adam probably told her ass he couldn't touch it. Like, hey, don't even touch that tree. I don't want you touching it because then you might want to touch it. If you touch it, then you might want to eat it. He said, but Adam, he was told to tend to all the trees. He said, but don't eat off of this tree. Right? Because she knew it. And she took of the fruit. And she ate of it, right? So she ate first. Adam didn't eat first. She ate the first. So stop and think about it. Was Adam even there? Because if he was there, would he not have responded for his wife? Would he have let the serpent speak to his wife? Was it when that woman was away from her husband when the serpent came and sought her out? Why was she away from her husband? Was she not? She obviously wasn't a virtuous woman. She was about her own business. Why was she at? Because look, why was she at the gate where the serpent was? Because he wasn't in the garden. Why was she at the gate, fellowshipping with the serpent, talking to him? Yeah, man. So when she ate that fruit, right? Who was she talking to? It was her and the serpent chopping it up. It wasn't her and Adam chopping it up. Well, guess what? She ate the fruit talking with the serpent. Guess what then? So she looked while talking with the serpent, took the fruit, right? Which was the tree of the knowledge of good and evil. So she took the fruit, which is sex. So she took sex, ate it, consumed sex, right? She had sex. Let's be adults here. She had sex. And then what? Then, what did she do? Because she ate. She did it. Before her husband. She ate before she even gave to her husband. You got to stop and read it for what it says. Then, She gave also unto her husband with her, and he did eat. But she ate first, then went to her husband, and she ate with him. Did she have sex with the serpent and then immediately have sex with her husband? Because she ate. Right? Right? And then she gave also to her husband with her and did eat. When they both had eaten, because she ate, she immediately didn't lose. She didn't lose it. She didn't immediately think, but when they had both eaten, the eyes of them both were opened. And they knew that they were subtle, or Irun. So what happened here was she ate twice. She ate with the serpent, and then she gave to Adam, and they ate. Because it says, and gave her husband with her, and he did eat. So she ate already. Now she was coming to eat some more with him, and so he could eat too. And guess what the produce of that was? Right? They came out. They had seed. Queen and Habal, both cursed. Habal died. Queen was exiled. And then, let's go. And then it says, right, let's go read what it says. Chapter 5. And Adam, you got to understand, so there's different context going there, because there was Adam, male and female, and there was YeRaMYaHU. Verse 3, Adam 5:3. And Adam lived 130 years, and begat a son in his own likeness, after his image, and called him Sheth. And the days of Adam after he had begotten Sheth were 800 years. Right? 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 So you got to remember there's two things going on. In verse 1, he's talking about Adam, man. And chapter 2, it's talking about Adam, female and male. Their name, Adam. And that they were created. So remember, there's two different, there's Adam, man, he, him. And then there's they, them. And so Adam, he, him, begot Seth. 100 and, yep. And so look, it even says, what does it say about Cain? All right, so let's go look. It says what about when he consumed them, right? Well, first of all, when he's cursing them, right? The curses, let's go over the curses. It says, the curses, it says, and Yahuwah said unto the serpent, because you have done this, you are cursed above all cattle and above every beast of the field, and upon your belly you should go. Thus shall you eat all the days of your life. It never said the serpent stopped talking. It never once said the serpent stopped talking. Never. And then when we think about dust, right? When you're talking about belly, well, the serpent was made from the deities, is made in their image, right? Right? Think he couldn't fly? Think he couldn't get where he wanted to go? I'm saying his wings were cut. Cut to the ground on your belly. He was cut off. Cursed above all cattle. Because thou have done this, thou art cursed above all cattle. Right? You're standing above all cattle, but you ain't flying no more. You ain't flying no more. And dust you shall eat. This dust is called Ifar. There's been movies. It's crazy how the average say. There's movies they talk about the dust, right? How the dust is like the blood or this thing that they have to consume from this other world, right? The fallen, right? They need this star fire, this dust. It's blood of man. The serpent needs to survive on the blood of man. That's what the dust, because we, man, made in Yahuwah's image, he, him, was made from the highest parts of the dust of the earth, the Ifar. Ifar. That's what we're made of. And so that's why the serpent, Nachash, is what? Feeding on the Ifar of the earth. We're made of the dust of the earth. Dust shall you eat all the days of your life. Why use that word dust? It's ifar. We're made of the. Let's go back and read when it says what? It says in Genesis what? Verse 7. Genesis 2:7 says, and Yahuwah Elohah formed man of the dust of the ground, and breathed into his nostrils the breath of life, and Aish became a living soul. Right? So yeah, so we see this going on right here. And we see that there is there's this battle going on between these two different people. And we get presented a boxed in, summarized, here, take this version type of thing in English. And because in English you can just kind of present it any way you want. Right? In English, it's like that. And she bore a son, and Adam knew his wife, and she bore a son and called his name Seth. So what they do, how they do this is they mix it up, right? And the serpent knew that he needed the seed of man to make it happen, but he just wanted his seed in there, if that makes sense. But he needed the seed of man to make it happen. But once he got that going, but we know these fallen entities can make themselves in man and be able to sleep with women. We know it. They did it. Some say that they appeared in the images to the women, and so when the women were having sex with the men, that they were picturing they were seeing these deities or these fallen in their image in their man. So when they're having sex, they're actually having sex with these deities. But that's a version. I believe they literally did what they did. That's why they fell. They came down and did what they did, and that was the curse of their fall. Because of what they did, it was more. It was in the flesh. They came down and physically had sex with the women. And Azazel was the first to do it, who is also known as Shemael. Now speak about it and put it all together in my book. We're just reading through scriptures here and seeing how it came to be. For Queen, for they were both born in a different version. But we were going back, it says talking about the curse, right? So it says, dust shall they eat all the days of your life. That's what we're talking about. So think about this. Where does the whole concept of a vampire come from? The whole concept of a vampire, somebody that just lives an evil person. Listen to me on this. If you understand what Queen was done, he was exiled from the face of the earth and from Yahuwah's presence. Yahuwah is all light, so he could never be in the light. Almost having to live in the earth, right? Under the earth, exiled from Yahuwah's presence. Let's see what it says. Let's see what it says. When he talks to me, he says, verse 10, Genesis 4:10. What have you done? The voice of your brother's blood cries unto me from the ground. The serpent curse right here. And now are you cursed? He has this curse coming. First it was the serpent curse. Now he has the curse. Cursed. And even Adam wasn't cursed. The ground was cursed for his sake. It says, and now are you cursed from the earth, which has opened her mouth to receive your brother's blood from your hand. When you tilled the ground, it shall not henceforth yield unto you her strength. A fugitive and a vagabond shall you be in the earth. And Queen said unto Yahuwah, my punishment is greater than I can bear. Behold, you have driven me out this day from the face of the earth. What does that mean? Have you ever think about hear me here. Have you ever thought about like mythology, right? You got Zeus, Hades, and Poseidon and all that. It's almost like he's being driven down to where Queen is already at, because Queen is already down in death, right? And he's on the earth, and he feels like he's being driven from his place on the face of the earth, right? As what? As almost like Poseidon, right? He can't be on the face of the earth. Well, what if you're not on the face of the earth? Where are you at? The waters. You're on the waters, on the seas. So these are things, perspectives I got. Either he's under the earth or he's on the seas, on the waters, and or both. But he is driven from the face of the earth, and from his face, from Yahuwah's face, he's hid. And he is a fugitive and a vagabond in the earth. It doesn't say on the earth. And it shall come to pass that everyone that finds me shall slay me. Who are these other people who are going to find him? That if there's nobody else there, if he's the firstborn. These are the they-themers. And Yahuwah said unto him, therefore, whosoever slays Queen, who's he speaking to? The they-themers. Vengeance shall be taken on him sevenfold. And Yahuwah set a mark, a sign upon Queen, lest any finding him should kill him. And Queen went out from the presence of Yahuwah and dwelt in the land of the fugitives on the east of Adon. The people of the dragon, the east, Asia, the dragon land, right? And Queen knew his wife, and she conceived and bore evil Enoch. And he built the city and called the name of the city after the name of his son, evil Enoch. And that's where you get the 7 sacred sciences. There was 2 Enochs. Queen had an Enoch too. That's where evil Enoch came from. The city life. The city life. And there's a reason why they give you Queen's lineage down to Naima and Yubal. I write about it in my book. But so what's happening, so what we're talking about is this whole battle between where Queen came from. And then Queen was exiled from the face of the earth and from Yahuwah's presence. Right? So he was not allowed to be. But the people of the east were still there. So he was fellowshipping, mixing with who? The people of the east. Who was his wife? Who was his wife? Yeah, you could, I mean, yeah. Yeah, they, them. It's a choice. So you either from, some people, that's why you say they're confused. They're like, I don't know if I'm a male or female, or I don't know. Well, you have the seed of the they, thems. And all of us are mixed up. All of us have serpent seed in us one way or another. I would say 99% everybody. That's why you have to be born again of the Mashiach, of a pure blood, born again, and grow up in the stature of the fullness of Mashiach. It has to be that way. So that's the whole point of being born again. The whole point of death, of redemption of blood. Yeah, that's pretty much, my teachings for today. Was more or less just going over YeRaMYaHU. We went through 7 through 12. But it is about this fight between the serpent seed and the seed of man. And we're redeemed. And if we accept that redemption through the Mashiach Yahusha, which is the word of Yahuwah, all the word of Yahuwah, it's not just these 66 books here, man. It's all the word of Yahuwah. And stop letting man box you into a religion. Thank you. Stop letting people box you into anything, even your self-identity. Like a lot of people say you have to be black, or you have to be white, or you're brown, or what the hell are you telling me I have to be pick a color that you chose that I have to pick? First of all, most people that are so-called black aren't even black. So people that are so-called white aren't white. It's a whole different color matrix that goes. So we're a lighter shade to darker shade of man. Period. If you want to box yourself in these categories and these things of being these particular shades of complexion, that's your choice. Don't try to box me or Ma in. We are of the house of Yeshua, of the tribe of Yehuda, right? Of the people of the Iberim. And so that's how we roll. Shaded, we're our shade in our family, we have the darkest of darkest to the lightest of lightest. You know? So it's a moot point. And it's really just, we laugh at you, racist. Honestly, we do. We really laugh at you, racist, because all we can do is just like, man, why? Who hurt you so bad that you got to be a hateful racist? And that's what people are. They're racist. I don't care. As nice as that person, they may see all knowledgeable, but when they say spitting that oh well, because of the basis of the color of my skin, we're brothers. You're a racist because you're excluding people based on the shade of complexion of your skin. You're racist. And same thing on any racist. It doesn't matter what shade of complexion. You have people that cultural racist. You have cultural racists based on the complexion of your skin. And then with ancient cultural, based on those, they'll have the lighter or darker shade of that particular complexion that they base your, how high your hierarchy. It's stupid. Or the bridge of your nose. Do you have a hump? How wide is your nose? We put you in the tootsies or the swoosies. It's a bunch of crap, man. It's doctrines of devils of man. But yeah, so racists have no place in they're the ones that we are speaking about, the evil people, those that want to box you in and bound you and try to this is what they do. They literally will take a word and totally redefine that word to make the doctrine fit. So what they'll do is they'll take a scripture and that they like that fits their doctrine, except the words don't fit. And so they'll say, okay, well, this word actually means this. And so what they'll do is to take the actual word, replace it with their newly defined word, and then reread the scripture based on their newly defined false, incorrect word, and redefine the whole scripture. And then present it as if it's truth. And so what we say to them is, you're entitled to your own opinions, not to your own facts. And that's just how we believe. Waiting for my wife to get home. I can't wait to go see my children today. They had, and spend some time with them and my family, and just have a good Yom ThaRUaH. It's been awesome so far. I love teaching. I believe those that are called to teach, preach, and pronounce the word of Yahuwah should be doing on these holy days, because we technically don't get a time off. The priests were always in rotation. No, there wasn't a stop. Look at the Mashiach himself. He was still working. He was in death and hell doing the most while we were sitting there keeping the feast, right? The Mashiach was in death and hell like, what? Yeah, you, yep. Preaching to all of them, teaching them all. They were just like, oh, you were real. You are real. Astonished and amazed at the Mashiach sitting in death and hell. So, oh, I'll take those keys. Thank you. Yeah, so like I was saying, Mashiach you want to talk about G, right? He was doing it in death and hell. All the mighty winds, all the mighty ones. And because what they did at the same time is they seen the fallen. And he said, it's you? You're the one who's been causing all this terror on earth? Making nations and kingdoms and kings fall? You? Because remember, hell rose up to grab him. Really, it was doing its obeisance, because it was obeisance to the Mashiach Yahuwah, the word. And at the same time, it was coming because he was falling. He was getting cast. His reign was done. When Mashiach was on the cross, damn, you're done, buddy. And so then what we deal with now is the influences and the spiritual warfare. We deal with principalities, powers, rulers of darkness of this world, and spiritual wickedness in the high places, and we're too busy fighting in the flesh that we don't even see that. That's what MaShYKh said. So now, where are these spirits coming from? Where are these influences? See, if you don't understand that the giants that died, or the fallen Nephilim that came in the beginning, and their offspring in that, they fell, and that when they fell, their spirits were not natural spirits, and they were left, their evil spirits to roam the earth. That's where these influences are. And matter of fact, we only deal with 1/10 of them. Yahuwah keeps 9/10 of them back. He only lets 1/10 of them to reign on the earth, to rule and influence in us. And that's what you have to deal with and ignore. And that's where you're test and tried. Are you going to listen to the spirit of Yahuwah? Or are you going to listen to these false familiar spirits that are coming from the fallen Nephilim, the Raphaim? That's where they came from. And that's how people get possessed. Or that's how people allow to be inhabited by these spirits, and guess what? They become movie stars, artists, and great people. And at a certain point, they're gonna have to give up. They get to live that reign until that spirit's called back, and they say, okay, you got to commit suicide, something, because the spirit's got to go back and it's got to go to somebody else. It's an evil spirit. And that's why these people die all of a sudden. You see, oh, this actor died at so day, a certain year. They knew their time. They were given a time of when they're going to die. You know, a lot of men have died at the same day, at the same time, or the same age, because it's a certain same, they made the same deal, most likely made it with the same spirit of a different generation. Yeah, man, appreciate that, you know. I appreciate you saying that. So, because it is time to preach. My lady tell me, she's like, oh, like, I'm like, I'm just going to teach real quick, teach a little something. She's like, that's a 3 to 4 hour block of time. I'm like, oh, man, is it? I couldn't even say nothing back because I don't intend it to be. Let me see, how long have I been going here? Let's see. Oh, 3 hours. All right. So, yeah, we're going to say, again, I can't even say she was wrong because it's been over 3 hours. But with that said, I hope everybody has a blessed Yom ThaRUaH. Remember, the ninth evening. At evening, then you want to make sure that you are ready to go. So at evening on, what is it going to be? So the calendar here we're going to have so we have the first day, the 7th day, right? 7. So we have 8, 9, 10 right here. So on, so Wednesday, let me see here. So we have Tuesday night. So we have Tuesday night, Wednesday. Then we have Tuesday night, Wednesday, Thursday night, Wednesday night, Thursday night. So Thursday evening. Thursday evening is when, because you want to be already into it by the time you hit Thursday night. So Thursday evening is when Yom Kaffarim is going to be. And you want to be already into it when that happens. I hear you. Come YaHUaH. Yeah, so again, yeah, you're right. But that's when it's going to be. So it's because on the Hebrew calendar, it's always on the 9th evening through the 10th. Technically, the reason why he says the 9th evening is so that you're in prayer or in affliction or in it on Yom Kaffarim on that 10th day. So, yeah, it'll be, so the Shabbat this month is always going to be on Tuesday night through Wednesday. Tuesday night through Wednesday. And so then Sukkot, that's when Sukkot will start as well. It'll start on Tuesday night after Yom Kaffarim. So, yeah, we're in the time of holy days popping off right now. We got Yom ThaRUaH, Yom Kaffarim, and then we have Yom Sukkot. And I'll probably be out on my land if my want my wife to be out there with me. So we'll be out there and probably do some teaching, recording out on the 40 acres, out on the Baker Ranch. You know what I'm saying? And we'll be out there just fellowshipping in the wilderness in our tabernacles. But with that said, guys, any other questions before that you feel like you need to have answered before we let you go? Yep. Sukkot tabernacles. Any other questions, comments, concerns? Like I'm at work. There's somebody I usually ask my people when I'm doing my management. And the management, I ask them always at the end. It's like, hey, is there anything else that you need from me or that to do that I'm not doing already? That's usually what I ask them. So if there's anything that you feel like you want to hear taught on or a lesson subject, I would prefer you say a subject. If you have a question, give me the subject of that question so that I can have the opportunity to answer it without having your question, so that I can have the opportunity to answer it without your actual question, if that makes sense, so that we know it's not canned, that it's coming through the Spirit. So just give me the subject of what you'd like to hear and see if I speak on what YaHUaH, what your question is. The book. What does the book of YeShayahu talk about? Salvation. And the giants. It talks a lot about the fallen Nephilim and what we're having salvation from. It talks about the fallen. It talks about Hillel ben Shakar. It talks about, you know, the king and prince of Tyre. Picture of the anti-MaShYKh, the Christ. Namrud, the dragon. Talks about the dragon as the Pharaoh. But it talks about salvation. It talks about God and money. About serving God and money. Literally, the word, his name is God and his name is money. And those are two deities, God and money. God is literally the Babylonian deity of fortune and finance. That's why people most of the time are praying to God for a blessing, because it is the deity of fortune and finance. And then also they pray to money, which money is just that, money, the number. And that's why they pray to God and money, because that's what they want. They serve God and money. And those are their deities. But we that know serve YaHUaH, YaHUaH. Can you summarize salvation? Salvation summarized is you believe that the Mashiach, who came in the flesh as the word of YaHUaH, died, was born of a virgin, and died, came and worked and died on the cross for our sins, went to death and hell, got the keys of death and hell, resurrected after 3 days and 3 nights in death and hell, resurrected, was seen amongst men, walking amongst the people, and then ascended up to the Father after 7 days, and after 8 days returned back on the day of first fruits as the first that ever died, descended, resurrected, and ascended to the Father and returned. The only one to ever do that as the first fruit, and that's where he came back. And believing that that happened, that truly happened, and it did it for us so that we no longer have to offer up animal sacrifice, so that we don't have to suffer the curse of death from breaking his words and his natural basic commandments, is salvation, is that we have this gift of salvation or grace, right? Yeshai or Yeshua, to not see death immediately. We have grace to not, as soon as we sin, boom, we should be judged in death, right? But Yah says, I'm giving you grace, and so that you now can repent, and through that, and by using that grace and repenting and using the blood to cover you for your sins, right? That is salvation. And by, first of all, that's using salvation. But the salvation is just to believe that process is real, that it works, that he did die for us. That's the root of salvation. Now, to grow in that is to be able to become sealed and then sanctified. You come sealed up. You know, you get the fire of the Ruach when your sacrifices are acceptable through your prayers, right? And then you get into the Word and you understand what the Word says, and then you're washed clean in the names of his waters of his name, death, and resurrected life. And that's how you're cleaned, is through his words, which is a picture of the water. So you have blood, fire, water as a foundation here, right? In the courtyard, blood, fire, and water. This is your foundation, and that's your seal. So, but blood and belief and faith that he did die is the summary and root of salvation. What does the word repent mean? Turn from. Because he didn't. Do you think Yah literally wants to destroy his people? Think of a father. That's why Yah gives us that example of a father with a child. And if you're not a father, then it may be hard to receive that. But think of a father, a good father with his child. Well, he says, even you being evil. But he says, give good gifts to your sons. How much more I give to those that love me and keep my commandments. So then he is, you know, he doesn't want to continue. It's really that we repent, that somebody stood in the gap and repented. And that's why, so that he sees Mashiach over us. And that's where he says, okay, because he's coming. He's sin happening. Judgment is, his word is automatic. Its word is automatic. He says, you do this, this happens. So that's automatic. It's happening. What he does is still provide mercy in the midst of that automatic word and grace, so that we can get it right. Oh, I messed up. Let me get it right. Okay, cool. Now I'm back in line with the Ruach. I don't have to have that judgment come against me. It's the link's on my bio as well. You can get it on Amazon. Wait a couple days before you get it till next week. Please. Wait till after the holy days, I ask, before you get it. But that's the basics of salvation, is just having faith. There's no works involved. There's nothing involved but saying, I believe that he died on the cross for me, that the Messiah that came from the house to line of the tribe of Yehuda. His name is YaHUaHUshi, because he came in his father's name, died on the cross for me. So it has to have a father's name in it. If anybody says any name that doesn't have YaHUaH in it, is the father's name in it? I'm just saying. So his name is YaHUaHUshi. And I talk about how I break that down in my book. So his father's name is Yehua, so I come my father's name. You know, and because he did that and died on the cross, and just believing that happened, that's simple faith. Now there's growing in the faith, right? And strengthening your faith. Those are different things. Amen. But, all right. Yeah. Coming with the questions here. Dana McCaldwell. Where's my wife's name? Let me just see what we got. Oh, man, we got people in here. Y'all making it hard to leave. It's hard just to cut it out. But, the name of my book is The Way, the Truth, and Life, Who the Messiah Really Is. I think you can see it right there. Let me see. I have a bunch of them up here. It's this right here. The link's in my bio. But because there's so much to talk about, it's hard just to get out. So I even refer back to it, like, what did I say? Because there's a lot of words and references and whatnot, and it's y'all's word, it's not mine. But then if I realize I'm saying something wrong, I'm gonna fix it, or I'll talk about it and I'll correct myself, because you're gonna say something wrong sometimes. It's gonna happen. You just gotta have the pride, deal with your pride enough to be able to say, hey, actually, what I said, I should have said this, and then be able to say that I feel like is a better teacher, opposed to somebody that feels like they always have to be right all the time. Then to me, that's pride. I call it superiority pride. And then those little people have inferiority pride that always try to be right, but like, well, I don't know, but I'm just saying. Yeah, you're just saying because you want to be right. Nice. Praise YaHUaH. Baruch atah YaHUaH. B'shem Yehusha ATh MaShYKh. Vin ATh QaDUsh RUaKh YaHUaH. With that said, guys, I'm going to go ahead and end live. I appreciate you guys sticking it out and going through. Again, you can reference this teachings on YouTube and comment whatever through YouTube. That's probably the best way to relay any after, because you can comment it, ask questions about the video, question anything I said so that we can clarify if there's anything that you don't agree with or don't understand. So with that said, I hope everybody has a great in my book, I talked about Hebrew too. I have a modern Hebrew lesson in the back, like last 7 pages. But then I do break down everything in the book is based upon Hebrew, really. I do have the whole foreword is based upon Hebrew, and then a little breakdown on basis of understanding of Hebrew, and then I go into certain letters, and etymologies about how they came to be and how they changed certain things and how we look at it, how to understand how it's written, and just a simple transliteration of it on certain letters so that you can see. And then my YouTube, if you go after the live, I'm going to end it. Just go to my profile, and on the drop down, it'll show, it has my my YouTube on there. You can click on it, it'll take you to my YouTube page, and then you should be able to see it. But it's live right now, so it hasn't ended. But and you should be able to go back and reference on that. So yeah, just check out the page. With that said, and brothers, YeRaMYaHU, I appreciate you everything, man. I appreciate the gift, sir. Going and doing that and attending. And with that said, shalom alaikum, everybody. Have a great one.